special. We're going to have the first 2 rounds of coverage, and we're going to have a split screen. We have a split screen once again. Rasmus Dahlin expected to go number 1 to Buffalo. And as soon as Gary Bettman steps to the podium, we will click on that pick to let people know that it's going to happen, because Rasmus Dahlin is in fact going to Buffalo at number 1. We also expect Andrei Svechnikov to go 2nd overall to the Carolina Hurricanes, the Barrie Colts right winger, line 1 player, immediate impact, difference maker, might end up playing on the 2nd line in Carolina, but we expect those 2 players to go top 2. Philippe Zadina is my number 3 player in the class, but Jesperi Kotkaniemi is the player that Montreal's had their eye on for the last week, and I don't know if that has changed yet. So Montreal at 3 is going to be interesting. Ottawa at 4. We did have a trade before the start of the NHL draft. Colorado sent 47 to Washington for Brooks Orpik and a goalie, but Washington clearly sent those players to Colorado to get more cap space and to use that cap space to re-sign Brooks Orpik. And we are live on both Google Hangouts and TalkShoe. And part 2 will be tomorrow. We'll break down rounds 2 for draft grades and some of the other excellent value picks. But this year's NHL draft is going to be underway shortly. And for Frölunda Indians defenseman Rasmus Dahlin, we are expecting him to go number 1 overall. And I appreciate the viewers popping in. We had a lot of viewers during our NBA draft special, and you got the Sabres on the clock at number 1. So the Sabres, they're going to probably take Rasmus Dahlin, and the number 1 pick's usually been a pick that's worked out. It's been a pick that's been able to help the Buffalo has been able to help any team picking in that number 1 spot turn the corner. You look at how Ovechkin finally got that cup. Crosby got a cup. You've got players who can really step up to the plate and really change your franchise, alter the course of events. And I believe that Washington is going to have a tough time repeating after losing their head coach. But the Buffalo Sabres are a team that I really believe they're going to be locked in. They've got their number 1 defenseman like Eichel. They got Dahlin, and they got Eichel. And I know I just referred to Eichel as a defenseman. Ugh. But Eichel's a line 1 center. When you get your line 1 center and your line 1 defenseman who can anchor the blue line, things go a lot smoother. You look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, they are a prime example of this. They get Stamkos first, and then they get Victor Hedman. The LA Kings are another example of this. They get Anze Kopitar in 2006, and then they get Drew Doughty, who is by many the best NHL defenseman in the league. But I see a lot of similarities between Victor Hedman and Rasmus Dahlin. I actually agree with Craig Button's comparison there, so which is rare. And now the most famous moment in sports, the NHL draft. They're going to bring Gary Bettman to the podium, and people are going to boo the crap out of him. But, yeah, after those 2 players, you really have a lot of intriguing prospects because you have Andrei Svechnikov. You have players like Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who we do expect to go 3rd overall from a SOT. He can play anywhere at forward. And Philippe Zadina is another player who I think should go 3rd. I expect him to go 4th. And this board is based on where I expect teams to take players rather than who my best overall players on the board are. So I think Zadina is the 3rd best player, but we expect him to go 4th to Ottawa. Brady Tkachuk is a player that I think is probably the only player who could be a line 1 center in this draft. He's good at winning faceoffs. And Kotkaniemi's another player who could be a line 1 player down the road, but he's kind of raw right now. So you've got Quinn Hughes out of Michigan, a player who is arguably the best skater in the class. He began skating as early as 2, and his mother was at the NHL draft, and his family, Jack Hughes, his brother's probably going to be the number 1 pick in 2019. So those are the top 6, the Super 6, if you want to call them. Those players are probably the tier of NHL ready players. These are probably the only 6 players that are going to be ready. Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah, and Gary Bettman, I can't wait to see Gary Bettman get booed. And I'm getting my TalkShoe phone. So we are live on TalkShoe and Google Hangouts. You can hear me on both platforms. And Gary Bettman giving a long-ass speech. You know what Don Garber did so well? Don Garber just jumped straight into the draft. And I figured every other commissioner would follow that route. Roger Goodell would follow that route. Rob Manfred would follow that route. Adam Silver would follow that route. Gary Bettman would follow that route. But no, Garber sets the bar, and the other commissioners just have to have really long intros before they step to the podium. And the Humboldt Broncos, what happened to them is very sad for sure. I mean, it was a very sad story about the plane crash and some of the players in the team dying. So it was it was very unfortunate. But I love the fact that the NHL is giving back to the community. Kevin Gehringer's stepping to the podium now. And the NHL is recognizing him with an award. Our condolences go out to the Humboldt Broncos. I mean, we already wished our condolences to them on a podcast back in May or April when this first happened. It's been so long since then. I know Kerm and I brought this up on a show, but the NHL Draft is in Dallas this year. The Stars are my favorite team. I went to the 2012 NHL Draft in Pittsburgh, and I think this draft could have just as many defensemen drafted in the first round as that draft back in 2012. So, and there's a lot to look forward to in this year's NHL Draft. Rasmus Dahlin going first to Buffalo. If we find out where Jeff Skinner is going, his assistant coach Mark Cross, and his trainer Dan Bronze, and all the staff who passed away, and all 10 of our athletes who are no longer with us. And I accept this award on behalf of the 13 athletes who remain with us, 4 of whom are still in hospital, including Lane Manichuk and Morgan Gobey. Yeah, we're still here. We're just waiting to find out who's going to be picked and when Buffalo's going to be on the clock. We're fairly certain that Rasmus Dahlin's going to be the first pick, but I'm not even going to click on the player until Buffalo actually is on the clock. The other interesting headline is Jeff Skinner is expected to be moved today. And Jeff Skinner, Hurricanes apparently may have 3 first-round picks. Jeff Skinner trade seems likely tomorrow or late tonight. So Jeff Skinner, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. Just reading these stupid tweets. Jeff Skinner requested a trade because the new Canes logo sucks ass. That's just too laughable. It's funny. And I love how they always boo Gary Bettman. They did this in Pittsburgh. They just don't like Gary Bettman. I don't blame people. I mean, this is our 56th draft in NHL history, and it's the first one here in Dallas. As Tim Wright said to this group earlier, the Dallas organization, the fans of Dallas, long ago established the template for having transformed what some would call a non-traditional hockey market into a private hockey market. Yeah, and Dallas who's going to be on the clock at 13. And Rasmus Dahlin's probably going to be the first pick.
That will not only set franchise courses for years to come, but will also fulfill the lifelong dreams of the young men who hear their names called. It's an exciting time.
And they know Rasmus Dahlin's going to be the first pick. Brady Tkachuk, top prospect for Team USA. There's a lot of players in this draft.
The NHL family, and thank you to the fans in the American Airlines Center. Across North America and watching on our TV outlets. So Dallas, let's get started. The first selection.
We're on the clock. Buffalo Sabres, the clock. And I expect this to be fairly quick. The Buffalo Sabres are now officially on the clock, and they have 3 minutes to make this pick. But I am expecting Rasmus Dahlin out of Frölunda to be that pick. And I'll break this pick down as much as I can in depth. But it's like, we know he's going to be the number 1 pick. I mean, it'd be shocking. I'm not officially going to click on the player until they're on the clock. But you know Rasmus Dahlin is going number 1 to Buffalo. And it's an A-plus grade. It's an A-plus grade for me. It's an easy A-plus grade for me because Buffalo, they need a number 1 defenseman that can anchor the top line. Rasmus Dahlin provides that. He complements Jack Eichel. He complements Casey Middlestat. I honestly think the Sabres can make that jump from bottom feeder to 8th in the division, or top 3 in the division. And the pick is in. Trade news. No trade news. It was just the Avalanche. Philip Grubauer and Brooks Orpik. So Grubauer, Orpik going for the 47th pick. Yes, so we're going to know in just a few minutes. I've got my finger on the mouse pad for Rasmus Dahlin, and once you know he's going to go number 1. He's waiting to go up to the podium and get his jersey. And the Sabres fans are finally getting the savior they've been wanting all these years. Since they lost to the Dallas Stars nearly 30 years ago in the Stanley Cup, they're finally getting that player that's going to make them competitive again. He's a Swedish Junior Player of the Year.
He's going to start the NHL day 1, and he's going to start and be very good. It's only going to get better. I think he's got a chance to be the Rookie of the Year. I think he's got the best chance. He's going to get in there, and he's going to dominate right from the start. He's going to be that good.
Yeah, he really is.
Expectations, they're set. Most expectations on the stage. Okay.
We like to thank our fans back in Buffalo celebrating with us tonight. And we'd like to thank the Dallas Stars for their
Kim Pegula, the owner and president, and the spouse of Terry Pegula, Buffalo Bills owner.
Jason, are you ready?
On behalf of our great fans in Western New York, the Buffalo Sabres are proud to select Frölunda defenseman
Rasmus Dahlin. And Rasmus Dahlin now officially off the board. And this is an easy A-plus grade for me. And this is an easy grade for me because he's the best player in the draft. You're getting a #1 draft pick here, a game changer, an A+ grade. And I was expecting this team to pick in the top 5 at the beginning of the year. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. What hasn't changed is Rasmus Dahlin is still the top prospect. After being the top prospect for us heading into the preseason at 6'2", 181, he was 161 heading into last season, added 20 pounds of muscle, beat out Timothy Liljegren for the final spot in Sweden's World Junior Championship at age 16. And this is a guy that checked out all the boxes that I look for in a defender on tape. Skating, physical tools, durability, size, slap shot power, slap shot accuracy, wrist shot power, wrist shot accuracy, passing, deking, sticking, stick handling, offensive awareness, defense awareness, hockey IQ, checking, ability to play in the zone, defend in the neutral zone, can be a quarterback of the power play, does well at penalty killing. He's a very aggressive player, but very calm mentally on the ice, which is what you want in a defenseman. You want to see him add more muscle, but this is a player who can come up to the NHL right away and play day one. And there is an outside chance, according to Elite Prospects, that Frölunda may return, but I am not buying that. I think they are going to – I think this – guy is going to be the pick at #1. Buffalo needs a line 1 defenseman that can anchor their blue line, be a leader, be the team's complement, Jack Eichel. Because once you get that line 1 center and that line 1 defenseman, building the team into a contender becomes a lot easier as those guys develop. And I also have a film session on Rasmus Dahlin, who can come in and be an immediate difference maker. And that's Andrei Svechnikov. I will change that pick if that's not the pick, but got to cover that up, guys. Sorry, I can't. And we'll go back to #2 pick, and with Rasmus Dahlin off the board, the top two players left are Andrei Svechnikov and Filip Zadina. We do have Jesperi Kotkaniemi's grade up. We have them going Montreal here, but I would be surprised if Carolina did not take Andrei Svechnikov, mainly because their owner basically said, this is our guy. When the owner says that straight up, that's a very, very obvious indicator that that's going to be the #1 pick. And we had 5 minutes of Gary. We had Gary Bettman not shutting up for 10 minutes. We had Buffalo. Buffalo knew they wanted Rasmus Dahlin. So we're 1 pick out of 31 done for tonight, and Andrei Svechnikov. Source, yeah, people are pretending to be Waj here. Andrei Svechnikov is going to be the #2 pick. People leaking the picks at the draft, they expect him to go #2. And like with #1, I have my finger on the mouse trigger ready to click Andrei Svechnikov once the card is turned in. And the reason Carolina is not making the announcement so obvious just yet is because they want to give Buffalo a chance to relish this moment. They know what they're going to do here. And Dahlin's going to be the guy who anchors this blue line. Rasmus Ristolainen. And the pick is in, and Carolina's up.
Congratulations. The anticipation is finally over. How did it feel to put this jersey on?
It's amazing. To be part of this, it's my dream come true, actually. So, especially Buffalo Sabres, I heard so great things about the fans and all that kind of stuff. So, I just want everything to start, and I'm so excited.
You're the first Swede since Matt Sidney to be drafted #1 overall. How does that make you feel regarding your country?
That's amazing. Yeah, it's everything for me, actually. So it's so cool.
Rasmus, thanks so much.
Thank you.
They're playing Here I Am, Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions. as the Carolina Hurricanes step to the podium, their new owner, their new front office, breeding Gary Bettman for the first time, hoping to overcome the feats of strength when it comes to Gary Bettman. And yes, that was a Festivus reference. But Andrei Svechnikov, they're already glued in on him. They know he's going to be the number 2 pick. Brady Tkachuk hoping to be called, but I do not expect the Hurricanes to pass on Svechnikov. I mean, NBC's bias for these USA American skaters is just, it's like they've given Tkachuk more airtime than Svechnikov.
The Carolina Hurricanes select from the Barrie Colts, Andrei Svechnikov.
And Andrei Svechnikov now officially the number 2 pick in this year's NHL Draft. And we'll find out what Montreal's going to do at number 3 shortly. But, yeah, Philadelphia jumped from 13-2 in the 2017 NHL Draft. Carolina had a very similar leap, jumping from 11-2 in the 2018 NHL Draft. This team has talent to be a playoff team based on the season preview I did, but they did not put things together, which is why Don Wendell, a former Penguin scout, is replacing Ron Francis as the GM. It's also why Rod Brind'Amour is the new head coach. Once I knew Carolina was picking second, I figured Svechnikov would be second. I really considered Philippe Zadina at 2 after hearing reports initially that they preferred him over Svechnikov, but they loved Svechnikov's interview at the Combine, and they showed Svechnikov better body language from the interview, which was the biggest reason I mocked Nico Hischier at number 1. You have to watch the body language with these interviews. 6'2", 187. This guy's the little brother of Evgeny Svechnikov, the Red Wings 2015 first-round pick. His versatility is the biggest question mark. Some scouts think he can play center, left wing, or right wing and brings more to the table. I see a pure right winger, but he can do a lot of different things. His instincts are simply off the charts. Adding more muscle and improving slap shot are really the only things this player needs to work on. He's a better defender than his brother. 29 goals, 29 assists, 58 points for the Muskegon Lumberjacks in the USHL. This year, he was the number 1 pick in the CHL import draft, and he needed a big year to beat out Rasmus Dahlin, and he didn't do that, but he had 40 goals, 32 assists, 72 points, 44 games with the Barrie Colts, and he's a player that is going to Thomas Dundon, the team owner. He said, if we're staying put at second, we're taking Svechnikov. It's not even close. And translation, they took him at number 2. And you've got this player who's probably going to be a second-line right winger behind Teuvo Teravainen next season in Carolina. We do have I thought I put the Andrei Svechnikov tape up, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to worry about it right now. But we do have tape of Andrei Svechnikov on our YouTube channel, and I will figure out how to get that up on their site. In the meantime, because I thought we had Andrei Svechnikov tape up, so I'm a little bit surprised that that's not up. So I'm going to figure out how we can fix that right now as the Montreal Canadiens pick is in. And Canadiens, though, let's go back to our NHL draft game here at the War Room. And, yeah, so Jesperi Kotkaniemi or Rat Philippe Zadina. I'm not sure which route they will go. It's definitely going to be an interesting conversation, though.
Allstate agents rights with them. All in today. Are you in good hands? When you design a shirt to be worn on top of the top, bigger guy, you do it for everyone. All shoulders, purses, all shapes and sizes of people, all shapes and sizes of top. We fit full head.
don't want to move this down too far, but like this is the problem with
NHL Network goes on site at the 2018 NHL Draft. Really going to get better. Get a first look at the newest members of your favorite team. It is absolutely the hockey executives and decision makers. The best picks aren't always in the first round. Coverage continues tomorrow on NHL Network.
Back in Dallas, no surprises at the top of the draft. Ransom goes number 1.
Yeah.
Sabres, he's followed by
I'm trying to figure out how to change. I believe they're going to take Jesperi Kotkaniemi at number 3. I would take Philippe Zadina in a heartbeat. And I will change this grade from a C+ grade to an A+ grade as soon as.
They do here. I'm going to talk about the next 7 or 8 players. There's a negligible difference, in the next 7 or 8 guys. If you want the center, take them. If you don't, you got a choice of a winger or defense. This is the worst pick of the first pick. Because this is a pretty tough one. Because I can tell you right now, is probably the organizational need. We need to address at center. But I think Brady is just more of an upside type of player.
They need a center. Montreal Canadiens are up about to make their pick. We'll see if they select one.
Thank you, Dallas. Bonsoir. J'aimerais saluer tous les partisans canadiens Montréal au Québec. I'd like to salute our fans back home. To make our selection, Director Amateur Scouting and former Dallas Star Shane Shudo will make the announcement.
Jesperi Kotkaniemi, 3rd overall. That is now official. And we do have the first 3 picks right, just like last year. But this is where things are going to get interesting because Ottawa's on the clock at 4, and they've got their pick of the litter between Zadina and Tkachuk. They interviewed both players. They also interviewed Quinn Hughes today. So they could take either one of those players. And Montreal at number 3, no surprises. But Montreal had a good squad in terms of talent heading into the season. I'm giving this a C+ grade, and the reason I'm giving this a C+ grade is because I don't believe this year's NHL draft has a complete number 1 center. 10 goals, 19 assists, 29 points. Those are not number 1 center numbers. And I think he could be Alexander Barkov or Anze Kopitar upside. I think you got that upside there, but I don't think the upside to be an elite center is there. And I'm giving this a C+ grade because you've got 4 second-round picks. You can try to trade up for another center or do whatever. I think Philippe Zadina is the clear-cut player you take here. And the rumors we heard were true. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Bob McKenzie believed he would go 3rd on Sunday. And Kotkaniemi did an awesome job interviewing with these teams. Detroit, Chicago were taking a second look at him. Arizona could reach at him at 5. But this is a 6'2", 190-pound center. He's versatile enough to play all 3 roles at forward, left wing, center, right wing. 3 goals, 7 points. Rarely had experience, but he really developed his offensive and defensive awareness. He answered a lot of questions on tape. And while I don't agree with this pick, he became the line 1 center on Montreal's top line. And despite the sluggish performance, Kotkaniemi rebounded down the stretch, checking down all the boxes for Assat. He also improved at the combine, the performance drills. And he's a player who's going to return to Assat next season and then make the jump to the NHL 2019. I was initially going to give Montreal a B+ grade, but the Canadiens have 4 second-round picks, and you don't pass on the best player board, Philippe Zadina, for Kotkaniemi here at number 3. And it would be understandable if Montreal had 1 first-round pick, 1 second, but they got the 3rd overall pick along with 4 second-round picks. And the Ottawa Senators are now on the clock. So So 3 for 3. And Ottawa, I have Ottawa taking Philippe Zadina at 4, but they brought in Brady Tkachuk, and Tkachuk did interview better during the process. So I'm honestly not sure what route they're going to go here. Everyone's speculating on they're going to trade Carlson. They're not going to trade Carlson tonight. I can tell you that firsthand. And you got a film session on Jesperi Kotkaniemi, so I have Philippe Zadina to Ottawa right now.
Say that here isn't in business here tonight or on this weekend. Perhaps it involves Erik Karlsson. If not, they will furnish Erik Karlsson with a contract offer on July 1st. But he has other players in play. If not Karlsson, perhaps it's Craig Anderson, a veteran goaltender, or another veteran forward. It's Zach Smith. Yep.
Darren, thanks so much.
The pick is in. Ottawa's about to make their selection. And if Philippe Zadina is the pick, I'll begin this mock 4 for 4, just like with the NBA. I think the best I've done during the NHL draft is I got the first 6 picks right back in 2014, and I still finished second or third in the country that year because I didn't have someone else actually had William Nylander going to Toronto at 7, which I did not have in my mock that year. But I had first 6 picks correct that year, and it was pretty amazing. And I'll be lucky if I can duplicate that. I think there's an outside chance I can match that if Zadina goes 4, Tkachuk goes 5, and then Quinn Hughes goes number 6. And Zadina basically told Montreal, if you pass on me and I am in Ottawa, I will fill Montreal's net. So Brady Tkachuk's going to be the pick, isn't he? No, it doesn't make any sense. Passing on Philippe Zadina does not make any sense. Take Zadina, Jesus Christ. This is not rocket science. I know it's going to be one of those 2 players. I don't know which one yet. So Brady Tkachuk now going number 4. He did interview better. I was considering changing this pick to Brady Tkachuk at 4. I didn't, but I was considering it. I was really torn on this. I gave
he's a difference maker. I hear so much about his intangibles. His tangibles are outstanding. He's a real strong skater with physical maturity. It's only going to get that much better. He's got excellent hands. And when you consider where he's at mentally, he's got that too. And yes, the comparable for Brady Tkachuk is Big Brother back there. When he wants those 2 guys play, that's what they want. He wants to play for a long time. They play exactly the same. With the same hands, they get the attention of every opponent they're playing versus.
And Brady Tkachuk is the pick here. So Brady Tkachuk to Ottawa at 4. That is official. Now, Arizona, you better take Philippe Zadina. This is the 3rd best player in the draft, and I'm sick of these media people leaking this shit. Like, I leak a few picks, but it's like Craig Button's trying to act like his insight's better than everyone else's. He is highly respected. I appreciate what he did for my Stars, but it's like he's wrong. Zadina's the best player. You take him here, period. I'm going to give this an A grade. I'm not going to give it an A+ grade, but I do think it's a good selection.
All right, Liam, thanks very much. Keith Kachuk, obviously very excited about Brady going to the Ottawa Senators. You've been down this road before. Older boy, Matthew, does it feel very similar?
Yeah, it is. I'm just happy for Brady. Brady wants to play hockey. He wants to win, and finally get to see him get some recognition. It's always been his brother growing up, and he was a hard-working kid, and I'm always going to get high-skilled, gritty character guy.
It's the Canadian League, the Kachuk household, isn't it? I mean, back in the day, you spent a lot of time, obviously, leading the Winnipeg Jets, and now both boys are playing in Canadian markets. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's pretty strange that it's worked out that way, but Canada's been real good to us, and my wife.
Yeah, and I'm going to put the Andrei Svechnikov film session. I'm going to upload that onto the page. I know we're a little bit behind on some of the picks here, but I'll get the Brady Kachuk pick up in a second. I want to get this Andrei Svechnikov film session up right now. And
he came here to support Brady Kachuk. Today, on his own time, he came here to support Brady. Brady Kachuk right now standing by with Captain Jack.
All right, Liam, thank you. I just asked him some bragging rights now. The family drafted higher than his brother Matthew. Brady, you complete the Kachuk family Canadian lineage. Your dad drafted by Winnipeg. Your brother goes to Calgary, and you go to Ottawa. How does it feel putting on the Senator's sweater?
It's an awesome feeling. I'm shaking right now. It's all the credit goes to my parents and everybody just got me to where I'm at today.
You said that you want to play in the NHL next season. You're training this summer with Gary Roberts. How soon will you be ready to enter an NHL lineup?
Yeah, we're going to talk with them to Ottawa and see what their thoughts, and I'm going to talk with my parents and my wife and see what's best for me in the long run. But obviously, it's a huge goal to be in the NHL as soon as possible. But if not, it's another year to develop.
You had over 100 friends and family join you here this weekend in Dallas, from Boston, from St. Louis. You had a huge party last night with these candy bars, if I can get this on camera here for you. So this has been a lot of hoopla for you. What has this whole experience been like for you?
Well, first things first, that candy bar is fantastic. I had one last night, but this whole experience, I have all my family and friends, come and support me. It's obviously, so nice to have them here, but we'll be pretty excited to celebrate the winner.
All right, Brady, enjoy this one. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Catherine, thanks so much. Interesting heading into the draft. We summed up this Sunday. Brady is my most thoughtful, good-natured kid, but when he gets on the ice, he's a complete lunatic. I guess it's good in a way. So Ottawa uses the pick on Brady Kachuk, but they use the pick, which is a story in and of itself. Absolutely. They all first-round pick to the Colorado Avalanche. They could have shipped this one out. They decided to keep it.
And that's a decision they may end up regretting.
If the Ottawa Senators are worse next year than they are this year, and keep in mind, Barry Carlson could be traded. Keep in mind, Brady Kachuk could still be playing at Boston University this next season. Then they own the first pick next year, and a lot of people think that might be a lottery pick. And I mean, my goodness, Jack Hughes is a franchise #1 center at the #1 slot. So we'll see it. Ottawa now has huge motivation not be the worst team in the league next year or to win next year's lottery.
Now Arizona on the clock, about 30 seconds remaining. They will not get a chance at Brady Kachuk. He's got to keep to play the Coyotes. So if you're at that Arizona desk, your thoughts are what?
My thoughts are simply this. Tim Bernhardt, the director of scouting, he was here with the Dallas Stars for a lot of years, was here in the Stanley Cup year. I know one thing. He's not going to be swayed by position. He's looking for very specific players. And again, it's a negligible difference between these next guys. Don't be surprised if they take a center here.
Why are teams reaching for centers? This is not a top-heavy center draft. This is the weakest center draft since 2002. I mean, Arizona's going to have Dylan Larkin. They're going to have Alex Galchenyuk. They're going to have Dylan Strome, not Dylan Larkin, but Strome, Galchenyuk.
Arizona Coyotes are proud to select from the Sioux Saint-Marie Greyhounds, the Ontario Hockey
Barrett Hayton. Yeah, and Barrett Hayton, we had him on our board at 15. He goes number 5. This is really the first questionable pick here. It's not a heavy center draft, and you're taking him to develop. I mean, there were sources telling us the Coyotes would take a forward at 5. But I had no idea who they were going to take. And Barrett Hayton at number 15 on our board is a massive reach here. And it's a massive reach because it's a pick that should not be made this early. The 15th best player has no business in the top 5. He's not. It's a weak center draft. I'm giving the Coyotes a D grade here. I'm not going to give them an F grade, but you don't take a lot. Is Barrett Hayton a line 1 guy, yes or no? If he's not a line 1 guy and you have 3 centers on your roster for next season, do not take him. So, I mean, if I'm the Red Wings, I draft Filip Zadina here. And the Arizona Coyotes just made an extremely idiotic decision here to pass on Filip Zadina at 5. Like, this is actually worse than what the Canadiens did. Barrett Hayton's good, but he's a top 15 talent. You don't take a top 15 talent in the top 5. That's not how smart teams operate at the NHL draft. And it's he's not a top 5 pick. That is an awful selection. Joe Veleno is better than Barrett Hayton. But this is a massive reach here at number 5. I like Barrett Hayton, but this is a massive reach at 5. I'm not going to give it an F grade, but it is not a fiscally responsible pick to take this guy at number 5. You've got an opportunity to close the gap here and really close the gap with these teams, and you reach for Barrett Hayton at number 5. It's almost, well, I think I gave Vancouver an F grade for taking Elias Lindholm at 5 last year. And this is that all over again. Elias Lindholm they could have took I'm honestly going to look up my 2017 NHL draft results here because this is just whatever grade I gave Vancouver for Elias Lindholm is what Phoenix is getting here at 5. And I gave them a D grade, so this is actually worse than that. So I'm going to give them a D- grade.
This isn't just a beer. It's a lager. Amber colored, one of a kind beer. Made from those bold enough to brew it, for those bold enough to drink. Except for the European beer. Take traditional lager. Spread your wings.
It's not even about getting the picks right. I know that it's just a horrible, horrible decision. I mean, Brady Tkachuk, Barrett Hayton is okay, but he's not a great player. And I think you have to take a great player when you're picking in the top 5. You have to take a game changer. You have to take an immediate impact player. And the Coyotes just do not understand that during the draft.
He makes things happen with the great vision He's comfortable with the expectations. He's comfortable with the pressure. Here's Hughes. He's had a tremendous year.
Wings on the market for a while when Hughes was not just at the end of the whole organization.
I mean, Arizona really had a chance to get Zadina and really close the gap here on some of these teams in the Western Conference, and they didn't do that. So
The preference for Detroit going into this draft was the defenseman. But the fact that Filip Zadina has slipped out of the top 5 gives Kenny Holland and his group something to think about. I won't be surprised if they go with the goal scoring winger, even though the priority was
Yeah, and
10 moments here for Red Wings fans. Their team on the clock. The pick is in for Detroit.
Barrett Tate. We do have the Brady Tkachuk pick up, and Brady Tkachuk, we have his film session versus Michigan, and we got Barrett Hayton. We gave Arizona a D- grade for this. So, and Philippe Zadina, which is an A+ pick, because Philippe Zadina is a game changer. I know the Red Wings need defense, but Philippe Zadina can help this team as early as next season. And if you can get Mike Green back and you can get John Carlson, or you can try to win a free agent, you're a playoff team, because you're going to have Philippe Zadina, Michael Rasmussen, Evgeny Svechnikov. You are going to be loaded offensively next year. So while you still have some holes on the blue line, you have enough offense to get you to the opening round of the playoffs. And Jimmy Howard being in a contract year, Detroit being in a win-now mode, they have to take a player that's going to help them win now. And Quinn Hughes will probably go to Vancouver now. I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn Hughes dropped a little bit too. And, yeah, Philippe Zadina now off our board here. And this is easily an A+ grade for the Red Wings. They took the best player on the board at number 6, Philippe Zadina. I'm surprised they went this route, but it's easily an A+ grade for the Red Wings. Probably, even though blue line's the priority, Philippe Zadina was the clear-cut number 1 player on the board. So I'm not going to fault the Red Wings here. I'm going to give them an A+ grade because that's what they deserve. They took the best player on the board, and Quinn Hughes is not going to come up to the NHL this season. Philippe Zadina is. So to any Red Wings fans who bitch about this pick, I'm going to flip you off as loud and as hard as possible, because Philippe Zadina is an absolute steal. It's like Dylan Larkin falling to your lap. This is an awesome pick for the Red Wings. And I don't know if this is enough for them to be a playoff team right out of the gate, but you're looking at a much, much more improved offense.
So congratulations on being picked by the Detroit Red Wings. Your coach in the Czech Republic calls you a shark, that all you want to do is put the puck in the back of the net. What makes you such a good goal scorer?
I don't really miss the south side.
And I'm going to look through my Detroit Red Wings season preview here really quickly. I'm going to look up the code here because I'm not sure where.
You're also always looking to improve your wardrobe off the ice as well. We've got some great photos of you looking dapper. We're seeing right there.
And you got Anthony Mantha. You've got Andreas Antithaso. And Darren Helm's going to be on that third line. You've got Dylan Larkin and Henrik Zetterberg on the first 2 lines. So with Detroit, you're looking at Philippe Zadina playing on the back 6 with Michael Rasmussen next season. So you're going to have Rasmussen and Zadina on that third line. And you're going to have Franz Nielsen moving to the 4th line. You're going to have Tyler Bertuzzi remaining on the 4th line. You're going to have Justin Abdelkader. You're going to be 4 deep at center, 4 deep at left wing. You're going to have a really strong offensive core of players, and you're going to have Evgeny Svechnikov as well on that 4th line. But Detroit's going to have a very strong core of offensive players next year. They're going to have 4 lines of left wingers, 4 lines of centers, and 4 lines of right wingers. And they're going to have those players. They're still going to have a liability as far as the blue line goes, but they're going to be deep enough offensively to make some noise.
What we can, and I mean, we've seen that happening in the NHL. You've got to be able to skate, got to be go wild, make a play with the puck. So it's really interesting that we talked about. So now we see 2 centers being the top block. That wasn't expected block earlier in the year. Even the box wasn't expected. So
Yeah, and
he now becomes interesting and watch to see where he ends up.
it's an A+ grade for me, and it's an easy A+ grade. It is a clear cut. Quinn Hughes could actually help Vancouver. But you look at what Philippe Zadina is going to be line mates with Michael Rasmussen, last year's first-round pick, probably next season. And the Vancouver Canucks on the board at 7. I am expecting Quinn Hughes, the best player on the board, to be the pick. But you've got Adam Bachfest, another defenseman who could also be in play here. And this is where you're going to have that run on defensemen. Noah Dobson, Evan Bouchard, Ty Smith. Ty Smith is in my top 10. But here we are at pick number 7, and the 6th best player on the board is still there. And Quinn Hughes is an excellent pick for Vancouver. I'm not sure how the hell Quinn Hughes fell in their lap, but it's an excellent pick by Vancouver. And this is an A grade for me. I'm not sure I can give this an A+ grade, but Vancouver, they needed someone who could be an immediate impact player, and somehow they got that player at number 7. So Quinn Hughes. So now Chicago's on the clock, and Adam Bachfest, Noah Dobson are both still on the board here. I'm probably going to give the Canucks an A+ grade. Quinn Hughes was a top 6 player, and he fell to Vancouver. This might be the last A+ grade I hand out for the entire draft, though.
He stepped right into the NHL with that maturity. I think that is the best path for Quinn. And he's a terrific player. You talk about his ability.
But Quinn Hughes has the talent and the skill set to make the jump to the NHL. And the scary thing is, I think Jack Hughes could end up in Vancouver next year. They could have both brothers on the same team like the Sedin brothers. I think it's possible. I mean, Vancouver lost the Sedin brothers. They get the Hughes brothers to replace them. They're a playoff team. They're competitive again. It's a great story. So and next year's draft is in Vancouver. So I think Jack Hughes will end up in Vancouver because Quinn Hughes will be his teammate. And yeah, so spoiler alert, when I do my 2019 NHL mock draft, I will have Jack Hughes in Vancouver. The 2019 NHL draft is in Vancouver. Vancouver has never had the number 1 pick, and they just lost the Sedin brothers to retirement, and they got Quinn Hughes, the oldest of the Hughes brothers. So you get the Hughes brothers, and you could sell tickets. The Hughes brothers can replace the Sedin brothers, and you have that star power on your team, so which is really important.
We just told me last now, so spent 2 years together in the program, put it together, put in here 15, so it's a young age, and we really got really close, so I'm very happy. He's a great player, but a great person, so I just got a great player in him.
You had your mom on earlier. She's the one responsible for teaching you how to skate. You're known for your prolific skating, so what did that mean to you from a young age being taught by your mother?
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have parents that know what they're doing, right? It always makes a difference, so I'm grateful to both of them, and Mom is all about the game, so like I said, I'm grateful.
All right, Quinn, congratulations once again. Darren, over to you.
All right, Catherine, thanks very much. We're with Jimmy Hughes, Quinn's father, and Quinn just talked about going into a Canadian market, and you as a hockey man can appreciate the pressures that go along with that, but that's not a bad thing, is it? We think it's a wonderful thing. It's great to go to a Canadian market, now Quinn. And Quinn worked in Toronto for almost 11 years. He knows the intensity of the Canadian market. If you want to be a hockey player, why not go to a Canadian market? So we're thrilled with it. I think Jim Manning and John Weisgart tried desperately over the last couple of days so they can move up a little bit. So I think it's a perfect match. How do you feel? I mean, there's so much expectation with Jack. projected as first overall next year, and then you've got your youngest guy, Luke, around the corner after that. Well, it's been an amazing journey so far, and there's a lot of work to be done, of course, but Jack has taken all the same, is watching it closely, and you see every support his brother, of course.
I'm going to give this an A grade. I was going to give this an A+ grade, but I'm going to give it an A grade.
But he's got his feet on the ground, and he's not too far ahead. So
I mean, we gave Brady Tkachuk an A grade. I don't feel like giving this.
Quinn Hughes hugging his brother, Luke, his brother Jack. What 13 months for this kid. 2017 World Under 18, wins gold. 2018 World Junior takes bronze. This kid, Dirk Rosen 4. 2018 Worlds earns bronze. And the 7th overall pick.
So I'm going to have Vancouver and Montreal in the top 2 of my 2019 NHL mock draft.
And the city of Dallas and the Dallas Stars putting on a great event.
And we do have Quinn Hughes tape, but I don't think Quinn Hughes is going to sign.
With our choice, 8th overall, the Blackhawks are proud to select from Greenus in Sweden.
Adam Bachfist, an excellent choice for the Chicago Blackhawks. This is like Roquan Smith falling to the Bears, or when the Fire got John Baccaro and Mo Adams, or like when Adam Bachfist to the Blackhawks is just scary because this guy could be the next Erik Karlsson. And you give Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane a player of Erik Karlsson's caliber, the Blackhawks are going to win another Stanley Cup or two. And it's a great pick for Chicago, easily an A grade for me. And yeah, he can stretch the ice. He is that good. So before I get the Adam Bachfist grade up, I'm going to go back, click on Adam Bachfist, who was 7th on our big board, and Noah Dobson at 9, Evan Bouchard at 9. The Rangers are going to have a tough decision to make here at number 9. But a lot of strong drafting so far. Arizona at 5 has really had the only hiccup in the draft so far by taking Barrett Hayton at 15. And other than that, I think the rest of the draft has gone fairly well. I thought the Canadians reached for Jesperi Kotkaniemi, but it's not as bad of a reach. And I think Vancouver's going to replace the Sedin brothers with the Hughes brothers. I really do. I believe next year's NHL draft, we will see the Vancouver Canucks get the number 1 pick for the first time in history. The Hughes mothers, Quinn Hughes' mom grew up in Dallas, played hockey in Dallas, returned to Dallas to watch her first son get drafted. The second son goes to Vancouver, where the first son was drafted, with that draft in Vancouver. So I think I can already see that being a storyline for next year's draft, with Vancouver getting the number 1 pick and hosting the draft and getting Quinn Hughes' younger brother to pair with Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes. So I could already see that being a storyline for the 2019 NHL draft. But the Chicago Blackhawks, their pick is in, and they took Adam Bachfist. And Adam Bachfist is an awesome pick for the Blackhawks. And this is an awesome fit for Adam Bachfist because Adam Bachfist is a guy who could score 25 goals and 50 assists, and you're potentially putting him on the same line as Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, which is pretty scary. So I think this is a great fit for Chicago.
It's a great day for everybody involved, and the families and your friends, and it's a special moment. I was fortunate enough to get picked by Toronto, and being from Windsor was a thrill. Everybody was excited about that opportunity. Beginning in this league was a special moment. I got
got to play for a few teams, great organizations, and being a part of it as a coach in these years, it's been a lot of fun, and unfortunately along the way to be around some great people, some great teams.
All right, Coach. Good luck the rest of the way here at the draft.
Thank you very much.
Back up to you.
Andrew, I think we dug up his middle school yearbook photo. We probably still have that mustache.
Yeah, you know,
So you looking forward to defense?
three things. You want the defenseman to get more. Then know what decision to make and then execute on it. That's exactly what Adam Bolton is. And what exactly what he needs is understanding that defensive play matters. There's that goal out of the back.
So I agree 100%. But the biggest thing is, again, you look at some of the guys that they lost over time, it's been a problem for them, and now they need to start replenishing. And this is a very good, solid guy to replenish there.
Stay with the original 6. Bob, the Rangers 3.
Yeah, and Adam Bachvis going to the Blackhawks at 8 is an awesome value pick here.
I will tell you this. New York Rangers, 45, Scott, Jim Bobroff, spent a lot of time. They need a lot of time in Russia. It is a Russian still on the board in the top 12 of this draft. It's Vitaly Kravtsov, scoring, playmaking.
Vitaly Kravtsov, I had him going in the late first round. I don't like the idea of him going to the Rangers at 9. But I'm guessing he will, in fact, be the pick, considering that.
I see him more with the defenseman. I think the defensemen are too good to pass on.
Yeah, they really are. If the Rangers pass on defenseman for this guy, I might just have to hand them the first F grade of the night. I mean, you don't waste top 10 picks on players.
First pick tonight, Director of Player Personnel, Bodie Clark. New York Rangers select from Tractor Telly Benz, Vitaly Kravtsov.
Vitaly Kravtsov. This is a first reach in the top 10. I had Vitaly Kravtsov at 28 on my board. He goes to the Rangers at 9. And you don't take this guy when you need defense. You reach for Vitaly Kravtsov at 9.
Rebuild's kind of an ugly word in New York City. It's just a rebuild pick.
It is a rebuild pick. I hate how objective they're being. I hate how objective Craig Button's being about this pick. The 28th best player at 9 is a reach. If they believe he can be good down the road, then yeah, it's a good pick. But I don't think it's a smart pick to make. Taking the 28th best player at number 9 is not what smart NHL teams do. It's what horrible NHL teams do. And the New York Rangers, they reached for Vitaly Kravtsov. He's not – if you believe he's Valeri Nichushkin, that's understandable. But I don't believe he's Valeri Nichushkin. I don't believe Kravtsov was that good. I had a top 5 grade on Valeri Nichushkin, but this is just – I actually mocked him to the Rangers at 28 in my mock draft. I actually mocked him to the New York Rangers at 28, so that technically does count. That is 4 picks correct. I had the Rangers taking him with one of their 3 other first-round picks, so that's technically counts. All right, so it's a big reach, but he only had 11 points in the KHL playoffs. But that playoff performer, he is an ideal replacement for Rick Nash. I will admit that. I'm going to give this a D- grade. I'm not going to give the Rangers an F grade because I mocked in the Rangers. And it is the biggest reach so far, I'll admit. I had this guy going to the Rangers at 28 rather than 9. So It is a D- grade. I have to do it. I'm sorry, New York, but this was a reach on your end.
It's an exciting time for us as an organization.
Vitaly's your first pick today. What do you like about this player?
A lot of hockey sense, a lot of skill. People rave about his character. He's a guy that we talked an awful lot about over the last month, but it's got it together.
Coach, thanks so much for your time. Good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you.
Captain, thanks so much. We move on from New York Rangers to the Edmonton Oilers. Less than 2 minutes for them to make their selection. Rob, your thoughts on the pick?
Well, I think right from the get-go, they were trying to peddle the pick for a defenseman. So they weren't able to do that to get an established NHL defenseman. So they'll do the next best thing. They'll take a defenseman. And right now, it's a pretty obvious choice. You either go with Noah Dobson, who's number 6 on our list, hockey backers, keep that, a big, strong two-way defenseman, or you go with our number 7 ranked player, Evan Bouchard, who will London Knights and Dark Grade, the best master in the draft. I wouldn't be surprised if they lean towards Bouchard. There was no way the Edmonton Oilers felt that number 10 that they were going to be faced with a decision on a right-shot defenseman. But the game, and again, I go back to 7. You're not getting them. I mean, the whole part, just look what they cost them in trading Taylor Hall and acquired Adam Larson. It cost them $50 million in national life with Taylor Hall. They better draft a right-shot defenseman.
We showed the head coach and the GM the team was seriously impressed this year. He step right back into the things, make the playoffs next year. One of those two defensemen help them do that?
I think Evan Bouchard, he's one of those guys right hitting shot. He fits in pretty well. I think he's big enough, he's athletic enough, he handles the puck well enough. He can fit in if they want to push. The guy there that I think has made significant progress in Edmonton is Darnell Lewis. Darnell is one of the guys that's done a tremendous job growing his brand in the league, and I think Bouchard can do the very same thing.
He was a top 10 pick in the Edmonton Oilers in 2013. Darnell Lewis, he went number 7 this year. The Oilers picking at number 10, and that pick is in. They're up on stage.
Yeah, the Oilers are up on the podium. This has gone a lot faster than the NHL draft because you get 2 minutes, 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes.
Thank the city of Dallas and the Dallas Stars for their great hospitality. Thank you. And with that selection in the first round, slam from the London Knights, Evan Bouchard.
Evan Bouchard.
When I see it there at the moment, is he checks an enormous amount of boxes. So let me see. Right shot defenseman. Plays like John Carlson. So what do those guys do? They're able to make the plays in the offensive zone. And they're that vision of where the opportunities are.
Yeah, and I saw Evan Bouchard on a film session here. Evan Bouchard is probably the player the New York Rangers should have selected at 9, but the Oilers get him at number 10 here. And this is a great pick for the Oilers, a team captain, a leader, someone that's going to help the Edmonton Oilers be competitive from the get-go. And really a very good pick for the Edmonton Oilers at number 10 here. I am going to give it an A grade. I think it is a bit of a reach. I'd personally take Noah Dobson here, but Noah Dobson. And the New York Islanders will be picking. Lisa's favorite NHL team is the next 2 picks, and then my favorite NHL team, the Dallas Stars, will be up after that. Edmonton getting Evan Bouchard at 10 is an absolute steal. And honestly, I really got to give the Oilers some credit here.
I'm here for an important reason. Colon cancer screening. If you're age 50 or older and at average risk, Cologuard fights cancer and breast cancer. And it's a non-invasive test you can use at home. In fact, quite as easy as get, go, go. Get me. Your doctor orders me, and I'm delivered directly to your doorstep. There's no need for time off or special prep because I use the DNA to fight colon cancer. And you just go. Then I'm going to ship me colon. Gotta go.
So Noah Dobson's still on the board here, but other than that, I mean, you've got Vitaly Kravtsov at number 9, and then Evan Dobson, who we had going to the Oilers, Evan Bouchard, who we mocked the Oilers at number 10, or not, we didn't mock him to the Oilers. We had Bouchard going to the Rangers at 9 in our mock, and there is a temptation. You could even argue that this pick warrants an F grade, but you look at the picks in the board here, and there's a lot of excellent picks that have been made. Detroit, I've handed out 3 A+ grades. I've handed out 4 A grades, and I've handed out 2 D- grades and a C+ grade in the top 10. So, I mean, there's just been a lot of good value picks. The Blackhawks, I do love the fit here. So a lot of strong drafting, and the Islanders are about to make their selection here. So as you guys can see, the Evan Bouchard grade, we're about to split screen that and go to the New York Islanders. And the Islanders now have back-to-back selections here. Can the Islanders just announce 11 and 12 now? Like, they don't even have to leave the podium. Oliver Wahlstrom, who I mocked to the Islanders at number 11. That is the 5th pick I've hit on in this draft now. I had Kravtsov to the Rangers. I'm counting that. And I'm counting Wahlstrom at 11. So I've hit on 5 picks in the top 11 so far. And this is an awesome pick for the Rangers. I had this guy going to the Rangers, in fact, at number 11. So, I mean, this guy, I had him at 11 on my board. 3rd best player, but the best center, best forward on the board. Excellent pick there. And I'm really curious to see where these 3 defensemen go. I'm guessing Noah Dobson will be number 12. And then Dallas will have a very difficult decision to make. So that's 5 of the top 11.
On the other way, benched it, Greg, maybe the best shot in the draft, the natural goal scorer. But what's that Sam Alford, the head coach of the U.S. Entry Draft, really likes about him is how he's constantly trying to get. God
damn it. Okay, stop reloading, Google. Stop reloading. Stop being it. When I have you, when I want to view my goddamn source code. Come on. Yeah, I mocked Jared McIsaac at 12. He's not going to be there at 12. Noah Dobson could be there at 12, and I'm tempted to give the Islanders an A+ grade. If they go Noah Dobson here, I'll give the Islanders back-to-back A-plus grades because I think they've really done a fantastic job with this draft.
Of goal scorers, he says he's right up there with the best of this draft right now.
All right, Liam, Oliver, congratulations. You're now a member of the New York Islanders organization. How did it feel to put that sweater on?
I'm just so thankful to be in this position, and the Islanders are the organization. And we're on New York, another best city, so I'm so happy about that.
Compared to Alex Ovechkin, you've been compared to Patrick Laine. How would you compare yourself?
And I gave the Islanders an A grade here. I mean, there really aren't any A-plus players left on the board here at number 11, but you got very good talent. There's plenty of players that warrant an A grade in terms of value at this point. And that's the name of the game. It's value. There's really only 3 immediate impact players in this entire draft class. And I thought that a lot of teams have drafted well. I think mainly the 3 teams, the Rangers, I just can't see the Rangers making the playoffs after taking Kravtsov at 9. That's really difficult for me to get over. And as long as the Islanders get Noah Dobson, I might bump that up to an A-plus grade because it's getting to that point where Noah Dobson, his attitude in the interview process just seemed a little bit toxic or whatever, but the Islanders –
focused on the draft here tonight in Dallas, and he'll continue tomorrow. But it could be a big weekend organizationally because of John Tavares. We shouldn't expect any news tonight from the Tavares.
So, yeah, there's not going to be any news from the Tavares deal. But, yeah, I've got the Islanders grade up. That's an A grade for me. And Noah Dobson should be the pick.
On Sunday, the expectation is he will make that decision as early as tomorrow. He opts to at least entertain the notion visiting with these clubs. The expectation is that John Tavares will invite as many as 5 teams to the CAA sports offices in Los Angeles early next week to consider the option. But know this, John Tavares is priority 1 for Lou Lamoriello. No question about that.
All right, Darren Bob.
I don't know if John Tavares will fall back into the Lamoriello club, but I will tell you this. I can't believe Noah Dobson fell outside the top 10. I just can't even imagine that he's not the most obvious choice here. Number 6 on our big board, and for the Islanders to potentially give this guy this opportunity, that would be found money. Huge.
Yeah, and Noah Dobson to the Islanders. They have just Islanders getting 2 top 10 players with picks 11 and 12. They're a clear winner in this draft if they can pull this off. And my Dallas Stars are now officially on the clock. And Noah Dobson. He interviewed, there were body language cues he gave away at the NHL Combine, Craig Button. Obvious, evident body language cues that screamed potential bust. That screamed this guy doesn't have the attitude and the desire and the will you want. That scared off some NHL teams. That's why Noah Dobson slipped to number 12. And it's pretty obvious. I can't believe these experts, these so-called experts who are getting paid more money than me to cover this draft, don't see that. I mean, no, Seth Jones is way better than Noah Dobson. No. It's an A grade.
So the Islanders pick back-to-back at 11 and then 12.
I love how Bettman has to announce that pick because it's like Gary Bettman gets so much shit. He really does. And I love how he has this urge to announce the pick.
How do they shape into the mold of what you want to achieve here today?
Well, as you know, we try and get as many prospects as we can, but I love coach that have that day. I think they did a great job. We're just going into the two players that we got, the good offensive player and the good size.
Your fans are, of course, putting their attention on John Tavares and the future of him with this organization. Can you provide any updates on the conversations you've had with him in this camp?
Well, I wish I could, but he's such an important part of the so hopefully everything will work out.
And Lou, how important was it to you yesterday that announcing that Barry Trotz would be your new head coach? How important was it for you to get that secured before this weekend?
I don't think that I could emphasize how important that was to be able to get so much more important as we can make this game with the young people that we're established.
Lou, thanks so much. Good luck the rest of this round. Liam?
Kevin, thanks. We said it's give you out. We're excited. Dallas Stars. Remaining for them to make the pick. 12 picks have been made, and now your first 12 all off the board.
Yeah, they didn't go in order, though, so
I got 5. I got 5, Craig Button and Jim Nill.
all of them have legitimate top 5 capability. There wasn't, every one of them got at least one vote for a panel of 10 states as a top 5 consideration for the draft. Their break point, after number 2, down to 12, interchangeable first.
That was 2 to 12. Doesn't open up.
Ty Smith is number 10 on my board. I think we should draft him because he's the best player on the board. But I feel like Dallas is – I don't know what Dallas is going to do. I mocked them Veleno at 13, which I'd be happy with. As long as we don't reach here. Last time Dallas was at 13, they took Gurianov over Matthew Barzal. So as long as they don't do something stupid like that, I can live with the pick. And my Dallas Stars are about to announce the 13th overall selection in this year's NHL Entry Draft.
It's a little different in the NHL Entry Draft with an honor and a privilege. First overall, or 129th. So that said, with our selection, I'd like to introduce first overall pick, 1980.
Mike Modano is going to announce the pick.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Modano, Jamie Benn.
I love it. Jim Neal is putting on a show here. And I freaking love it.
Good to be back in Big D.
30 years ago, he was the number 1 pick.
30 years since 1988 came around, and it's been
Yeah, my brother's going to be turning 30 next month. Sorry, Andrew. But yeah, the Dallas Stars. Oh, that's so savage, Modano. That's so savage.
Goes to show you don't prove you don't have to be first rounder to win a Ross Trophy.
Jim was like, thank you, Modano. Play nice, boys.
I'll trade that our Ross trophy that teammates won for Stanley Cup banner or anything.
Oh shit.
Without further ado, I'll let you have your moment on the stage and announce the Stars' first pick.
And Jamie Benn's gonna announce the pick.
13th pick, the 2018 NHL Entry Draft. Dallas Stars are proud to select the Twins of the OHL, Ty Dellandrea.
He's one of the players they interviewed. I knew the Stars were going to find a way. Ty Dellandrea was one of the 15 players the Stars interviewed. We took a second-round player at 13. And Ty Dellandrea, I like him, but I don't like him at 13.
All he did was continue to play. Absolutely love it. I think that he's got every element to be a really good key player. Championship teams. And those are, he's one of my man crushes. I have no hesitancy in saying that. He is such a great competitor. You watch the games. You're watching a guy play on a team that's looking, you never know the score of the game if you're watching him play.
So he's got that compete level. Dallas Stars fans here very excited.
And the reason we're scrolling down is we're trying to find out where we had this guy on our board. Yeah, we're already in round 2, and we had Ty Dellandrea at 38 on our board. I am going to get some more. He is one of the 15 players Nil interviewed, so... Yeah, a minus 30 plus-minus ratio. He's not a good defender. I hate this pick. And honestly, this may be the first F grade we give. He's one of the 15 players that Nil interviewed, though, so I'm going to give Nil the benefit of the doubt. But playoffs are bust. Honestly, I'm... So I'm going to give this a D- grade because this is one of the 15 players that Nil interviewed. So he didn't go completely off the script here. I had Jake Wise going to Dallas in round 2, but I had him much lower on my board.
Well, it's special. You know, they're both great players, but they're great teammates too. And they kind of solidify what our team is.
Jim, thanks so much. Good luck going forward the rest of the draft.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Liam.
Yeah, for me, moving forward in the draft, so the Flyers, under 2 minutes remaining for them to make their pick. Last year, they were the winner of the draft lottery. They moved up to the second selection. They took Nolan Patrick, who made considered to be, for a long time, the top overall prospect. And late in the season, he really came on for the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, you have the Flyers this year, drafting at 14. Where do you see it go?
Can I just go back to the last place? They also traded up to get Morgan Frost, an elite offensive player from the Chicago Greyhounds. He was the lead scorer in the hockey league this year. So if you consider what they did, I mean, Ron Axel, he took German roots off a couple of years ago in Russia, traded up to the
Yeah, I'm not happy about this pick. The Dallas Stars, they might be picking the lottery again next year because if they had gotten a really good player, I'd be optimistic, but you have Denver's coach. I am not optimistic about this team or the long-term outlook of this Dallas Stars team. And I think this is a massive reach by Jim Nill and company here. So it's the biggest reason I'm sparing my team. Joel Farabee, who I believe I mocked the Flyers at 14 in my mock. I'm double checking. That's 6 of the top 14 selections. Yes, 6 of the top 14 selections. And wow, we are on pace to have the most accurate NHL mock in the country. Farabee is who I had the Flyers taking at 14. So to get 6 of the top 14 selections, that might be good enough. If things hold up, that might be good enough. This is a great value pick by the Flyers, a nice 2-year project, but a good value pick, and it fills a position of need here. So good job by the Flyers here getting Farabee, and this is a player I mocked the Flyers at 14, so excellent pick by Philadelphia here. And you've got Foligno still on the board. You've got McIsaac still on the board. You've got Ty Smith still on the board. And very good job by the Flyers here getting Joel Farabee. And I thought he was going to Boston College, but he is going to Boston University, and he's going to be a 2-year project, but he's a player that's going to help the Flyers out right out of the gate here. And 6 picks in the top 14.
Joel, you pride yourself on delivering in big moments. How big is this moment for like putting on the Flyers jersey?
I mean, it's awesome. I really don't even know right now, just kind of soaking it in. But it's just an honor to be part of the organization. It's a really special time for me and my family, and just to share with them is really cool. So it's awesome.
You compared yourself on the ice to Jake Gensel, the Pittsburgh Penguins. So how do you feel about now potentially facing him in this storied rivalry between the Flyers and the Pens?
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. He's someone I definitely look up to. He's a really good player, but now we're rivals, so that'll be pretty cool.
You're going to continue to develop your game at Boston University. What more do you think you need to improve on in order to make it to the NHL level?
Definitely put on some weight. I think that's definitely one, and just keep working on playing like a bigger role along with the weight. So yeah, I'll definitely do that in college.
And Joel, how has this whole draft experience been like for you and your family?
It's been unreal. The city of Dallas has been awesome. I was a little nerve-wracking up until this point, but it's nice to see it kind of pay off, so it's been really special.
Congratulations on becoming a member of the Flyers, Joel.
Thank you so much.
Liam?
Well, speaking from experience, I can tell you that college is a good place to go if you want to climb weights. The lowest weight in the draft, 162 pounds, lowest body fat, 7.3% of this big night for American prospects continues. The 4th American chosen here. That's tied with Canada for the most so far in this draft, but it's been a heavily international draft. First 6 picks, 6 different picks here. Biggest takeaway so far?
The biggest takeaway, really be understood through the first 11, 12 picks. We have a real clear identification of who the names were. We didn't know where they were going to go exactly, and we saw that. But now we're looking down to a wide open field. He's not wide open, but now we start getting...
Well, I didn't have Barrett Hayton. And the Avalanche could take Ty Smith over Bode Wild. I mocked Bode Wild to the Avalanche, but...
He's not going in this pick, and the reason he hasn't gone, he's got top 10 down, 5 is because of his play attitude. it's not a skills that anybody's concerned about. It's that playing attitude. But frankly, it's really poor. So if he can improve upon that, his skill will rise to the top. If he doesn't, he might be having a career here. The big story in this draft so far to me is how the two centers worked their way into the elite end of the draft. Two centers in the top 5. For most of the year, there were no centers at the top of this draft. Two of them got picked in the top 5.
Florida Panthers, been a busy week for them. Trade for Mike Hoffman, San Jose Sharks. The Sharks acquired him from Florida. So a member of the Sharks very briefly, now a member of the Florida Panthers.
Our best available tight
Rob Tchaikovsky, proud to select a guy who could disconnect Wi-Fi. That is the tweet of the night.
Few options to Florida. Here's the pick.
2 months ago, we lost a legend in the game, and the original Panther, Hall of Famer, Mr. Bill Torrey. Mr. Torrey had more dignity and class. He was a true gentleman. We sorely miss him. We think of him every day. And in his honor,
And we've had no trades in the top 15 of this year's NHL Draft. This is the first draft since 2015. Well, and Grigory Denisenko, that is a big reach. Is this guy even in my top 80 or no? So Grigory Denisenko, I do have him in my top 80, I believe, but I think I have a second-round grade on him. This is a massive reach, though. I think Bulat Shafi Gulin's going to be better. Jack McBain. Riley Suter. There's a lot of better wings. Albin Eriksson. I think this is a reach. David Levin. I see line one upside with David Levin. Even though he's a project, he was a #1 pick. He was graded OHL exceptional status. Igor Sokolov. Nicholas Nordgren would have been a better pick. Sampo Ranta would have been a better pick. Nando Eggenberger would have been a better pick. I mean, you're taking a third-round player potentially at 15. Grigory Denisenko is in my top. You're taking the 57th best player at 15. A late second-round guy at 15. But the upside to be a line one winger is there. So, I mean, I'm not sure what to think of this pick. I had Denisenko going at 57 in my mock, but the upside to be a line one winger is there. I really want to give the Panthers an F grade for this shit. I mean, I'm sorry, Florida, but this is just an awful pick. Stop clicking back, Google. I don't like it when you go back. Okay? You're not allowed to go back, Google. Okay? Yeah, and Colorado's going to be on the clock at number 16 very shortly.
Introducing Lincoln Black Label at Southfield Lincoln on Route 19 in McMurray. A collection of vehicles designed to be U.S. about luxury ownership and more about membership. Stop in to see why the Lincoln Navigator is the 2018 North American Truck of the Year. Customize your own Lincoln Black Label Navigator for great estate of themes, chalet, or destination. Lincoln Black Label, our ultimate expression of design and personal service.
Join us for our annual Giant Tent event starting June 9th.
exciting and exciting. It's super fast. And you control every device in the house. Let's face it. The same is down here, too. So Sophie Island X and it's got its simple, easy, awesome.
Back in Dallas, Colorado Avalanche Sean McClock after finishing dead last in the NHL with 48 points a couple seasons ago. They made a massive turnaround. They made the playoffs and they've already made a trade.
They took the 57th pick.
Yeah, you're right. Joe Sakic pulling the trigger, firing the goaltender Philip Grubauer and veteran defenseman Brooks Orpik. There's some speculation that Sakic may want to move the veteran D-man to bring back a pick or create a bit more space for himself as well as for the Washington Capitals.
We have not seen a single trade yet, and here we are.
Getting in return for Grubauer and Brooks Orpik. Likely the cap space to moving out the money. They try and keep John Carlson in the fold with Washington Capitals, guys.
Aaron, thanks so much. The clock ticking down. Sleep. Some incentives, great cap space for John Carlson. But what's the tell you about Colorado?
Well, it tells you that they have to have the terms of them. What you don't want to do is just run yourself into a problem. Is your goaltender didn't heal as well as you thought or as fast as you thought, and now you're relying on somebody inexperienced or not competent enough. I think it's a big significant move for the Avalanche.
No question about it. The biggest thing that we found out about this team now, they're a team on the rise. The Matt Duchene deal really helped solidify the Colorado Avalanche's future. They've got a lot of real positive. They're figuratively a team on the rise. Literally,
Their time clock at this year's NHL Draft got devoured by an Avalanche.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why is that happening? We don't know yet. Someone just saw Brian McCullough from the Washington Capitals up to see if anything comes up here.
So, Colorado Avalanche.
The Avalanche are about to make their pick. Joe Sakic, Alan Weppel. You have to love the foundation that they built over the years in Colorado. And they are about to make their selection here. And we're at the 16 through 31 point now on our board here.
Avalanche up. They're going to go to the stage to pick this in. As they make their way to the stage, and you look at this Avalanche team, they potentially need.
Let's see if the pick.
Enormous move that this team from 1 year to the next year. They're going to get a huge part of that. Where else does this team need to improve?
I think they need some more offense behind that big line that they get in and landing spots. Take some of the pressure off. Saw what happened with Washington. Saw what the good team.
We have not seen a trade yet within the top 15. And if there was a trade going on, Joe Sakic, they would not have a jersey. The Avalanche would not be holding a jersey if they had no intentions of actually moving this pick. Alan Weppel's done outstanding work over the years, and Martin Kaut from the Czech Republic. This is a much better pick. It is a reach, but this is a much better pick than the last two picks. The Dallas pick was awful. The Florida Panthers made an awful decision. But Martin Kaut, this is not as big of a reach. It is a reach. I had him at 22 on my board. I don't think I've handed out a single B grade. I'm debating whether to give this a C plus or a B minus. I'm going to give it a B minus if I can fit that. And Martin Kaut at 16, we had him at 22 on our board. That's a slight reach, but it is not a massive reach. And yeah, he's going to play behind Mikko Rantanen, and he's going to play behind. I'm going to give this a B grade because Alan Weppel's built a reputation over the years. He was 22nd on my list, but it is a nice pickup here. I'm probably going to give it a B grade. Solid pick. There is line one upside, but he gets to play behind veterans like Landeskog and Mikko Rantanen. So it's not a reach. I would not call this pick a reach by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to give it a B grade. It's a solid pick. It is a reach. Gabriel Landeskog and so Martin Kaut comes off the board at 16 on my board. And yeah, I already do have the pickup, the grade up for pick 16 in this year's 2018 NHL Draft, and we've gone 16 picks without a trade tonight. This is amazing. We have gone 16 selections without a trade, and the player I mocked to the Devils could still be in play here. Who had the top 6 correct? I had 6 of the top 14. That's definitely going to be one of the more accurate mocks. I'm not saying it's the most accurate, but I love how the fans are thinking, oh, the Avalanche are going to trade the pick. No, Alan Weppel's holding a jersey, you guys. Come on. Alan Weppel's holding a jersey. Weppel holding a jersey means something. It means you're staying put.
Back in Dallas, the Devils on the clock about to make their selection at number 17. So we made the turn here in the first round.
I love it. NBC's coverage.
Here are the Devils at 17.
New Jersey Devils are, I want to thank the city of Dallas, Stars ownership. Also want to send our congratulations to Ted Leonsis, St. Patrick, the Washington Capitals at the Stanley Cup. And also share our sympathy and support with the first selection in the 2018 Entry Draft. New Jersey Devils are proud to select Ty Smith.
Wow! What a steal there. Ty Smith is an absolute steal here at 17 for the Devils. Ray Shero should get a statue for making such a good pick here. And the Devils are going to continue to build because Ty Smith played on the first line with Kyler Yamamoto. That's why I had him as high as number 10 on my board. The New Jersey Devils getting Ty Smith, the player Colorado probably should have selected at 16. That is an awesome value pick for the New Jersey Devils here at number 17. This is a great pick by the Devils because I know there were some mocks that had him dropping to the 17, 18 range. I did not see that happening at all personally. So that's a very good pick by the Devils here this late in round 1. I mean, it really is. This is a great pick here. Stop redirecting. Stop redirecting to Google. This is why I hate. This is why I hate iOS. This is why I dislike. I like Snow Leopard. 10.6.8 Snow Leopard is the best server, period. But I can't use it for Google Hangouts anymore because YouTube has to be uber lame about things.
Overall 3 years ago in the NHL Draft, you get number 17 today in the NHL Draft. What did it feel like to put that Devil sweater on?
That's pretty special. Been going out there watching often.
Stop doing that! I mean, I know I sound crazy right now, but it's like I'm sick of the new Apple technology redirecting me to Google. I don't want to Google research anything. I want to copy and paste my own code, my own notes that I wrote, that I typed. I want to copy that and put that on my website. Let me do that and stop trying to redirect me to Google, okay? Seriously. It's like Google's asking me to screw Larry Page's wife. I'm not going to do that, Google. Fuck you. Columbus, you're on the clock, and I'm that pissed off with Google redirecting me. It's like they're asking me to piss them off. They're begging me. They're on their knees. Google is on their knees begging me to piss them off. And I don't care. I want to cover the NHL draft. I want to focus on that, okay? I want to focus on that. Let me focus on that, okay? Thank you. No offense. I don't want to do anything. I just do not like being redirected to Google. I'm used to doing this in Snow Leopard. The technology is better, and I'm not used to this, okay? So you have to excuse me for the language here. I'm not used to Google, and I'm trying not to cuss, but it's like Google's just really irritating me with this feature, and I'm trying to be humble about it, but it's like Google is just really being a dick about this. So if I'm looking at my own code, why would I want to go to Google? Yeah, it is my fault, but it is my fault for letting the computer dictate things, but I don't like it. I don't like that. It should be enough common sense there to know that I'm not okay with that. Yeah, and I've got an A+ grade on that. I'm not done with the Ty Smith grade. I'm going to get the write-up done next for this pick.
And maybe being able to get the information. I'm not prepared to say that. It's strong down the middle. It's tight. I'm telling you, it's tight in those divisions, and it's tight in the East. So, you know what? 7 teams that made the playoffs 2 years ago didn't make it last year. So let's consider that when you start getting holes in your lineup, start to bring some challenges. It's not just something. I'm not going to say they're going out the board because the board is going to be going up there and the fix that board all over.
Blue Jackets up on the stage.
I mean, they were getting a top 10 player at 17. I think from a value standpoint, this is...
A special hello to our fans back in Columbus, in our car. Announcing our pick tonight, is a man who was born down the road in Houston, Texas, played his youth hockey here in Dallas, and has gone on to become an NHL star. Please welcome Seth Jones.
The Columbus Blue Jackets proud to select the London Knights, Liam Foudy.
Liam Foudy, who I had at 62 on my board. I think I had this guy actually at 63 on my board. I don't remember. But this is a massive, massive reach here by Columbus. This is going to be our first F grade here because while you do have the luxury to go best player on the board, to take Liam Foudy here at 62, this just feels like a massive reach. Another horrible pick by Columbus here. And leave it to Columbus to actually whiff on this pick here. There have been plenty of teams that have made horrible picks, but those picks have came in the teens, so it's kind of surprising to say the least. I had a third-round grade on Liam Foudy, so to take a third-round guy at 18, I have to do it. I'm sorry, Columbus. I just don't think taking a third-round player who is line 3 upside is smart. This is an F grade, Columbus. You're getting the first F grade of tonight's NHL draft. Deal with it.
And this guy blew things away at the combine, standing on the vertical jump, double jumping, anything with those flat twitch, foot twitch, things, I don't know. The kid's an athlete.
No, this is an awful selection. It's an awful pick. You took a third-round player at 18. That is an F grade for me. I have to draw the line somewhere. And Columbus, they're going to get the first F grade of the evening. And you can argue that Dallas should have gotten an F grade. You can argue Florida should have gotten an F grade. But Columbus taking a third-round player at 18, this is probably the only F grade of the evening unless another third-round player gets picked here. And I think he got pushed up the boards due to the fact that he had a strong combine. But now, if the Flyers get Saron Noel, I will have 7 picks right in my mock. This pick is going to get an F grade for me. So 18 picks into this thing. There have been a lot of reaches in terms of value in tonight's NHL draft. I gave the Avalanche a C grade. I gave the Devils an A+ grade simply because the only top 10 player on the board finally gets selected here at 17, and I just think the value at that point is too great to ignore. And I'm really high on value. I really do believe Ty Smith is a top 10 player in this class, so I can't just sit here and ignore that. I can't look past that. I honestly believe he's worthy of a top 10 pick. And he's played on the top line in Spokane for 2 years in a row. So I honestly believe this pick does justify an A+ grade. And then you've got Liam Foudy, our first F grade of the evening. So, yep, that's our first F grade of the evening. And we're going all the way back from the 3rd round to the Flyers, who are back on the clock at 19. We got 6 of the top 14. Ever since I tweeted that we had 6 of the top 14, we've been in a slump in terms of predictions, but we could go on a run here. If Saron Noel, Isaac Lundstrom, and Rasmus Kupari all go, I could end up having 9 picks right in the 1st round. But there's a lot of good talent. Akil Thomas is still there. Keandre Miller's still there. Bode Wild is still there. Joe Veleno's still there. Jared McIsaac's the best player on my board. There's a lot of talent still in the board here and a lot of great upside players for the Flyers to develop and potentially load in with their system at 19.
Jonesy goes on to be a Flyers legend. Joel Farabee was the Flyers selection at 14.
Fair Academy, Jay O'Brien.
Wow.
Listen, I talked about it before the draft. This was my young He's from the same school again. Jeremy Roenick, Cody Monte, Brooks Orphan, and Charlie Coyle. He is the real deal. He's got character personified.
He is a top 80 player. It's a reach, but this is a reach. This is arguably and definitively a bigger reach than Liam Foudy at 19. But the more I hear about him, the more
This is the first player that we had ranked outside the top 31 that's gone in the 1st round. We had Jay O'Brien at number 34. Fully recognizing that all the players in the 30s are a threat to move into the 1st round. He's a high energy type guy, but he's also
Jay O'Brien, number 69 on our board, gets selected here at 19. So
similar type thing. He's another 6 foot 76 pounds. He's hard on pucks. Got the ability to generate offensive plays with a lot of energy. A little bit like Joe Pavelski. Plays with his head. Good hands, understands how to take advantage. So, there's a physical air set of progress. That's what he needs. When you got those hands, you got that head. You got room to really take the bit to higher up. The man you see there with the beard and the glass, that's Chris Pryor, the director of scouting. That's a scouting pick. Those are the guys that are out there. They're laboring a lot. No. Second, 3rd round pick. They're like, no. They put their butts on the line for a pick like this. And I'm telling you, I'm backing out. It will be 3 years, and in 3 years we'll have this player that will be ready to play.
and Thayer Academy.
All right, Liam, thank you, Jay. We just showed the graphic of the lineage of players who are going to be joining there, and the names: Roenick, Amante, Coyle. You've got Brooks Orphan, and now you, a member of the National Hockey League franchise. How does this moment feel to you?
It's so special. I mean, to be here with my family and my agent and my college coach, Nate, it's so surreal right now. I mean, 10 players in my high school team, so it's so hard for me. It's a great stepping stone for me, and I'm going to make the most of it.
The USA Today High School Player of the Year this season. Casey Middlestat won those honors last year. He's playing in the NHL with the Buffalo Sabres. How quickly before you think you see your name in the National Hockey League?
I don't know. It's number on it, but I'm just going to go with comments and help Coach Saban and the Pirates win another national championship, and I'm going to take it from there.
Okay, congratulations.
So much. Thank you so much.
Jay O'Brien, the latest American prospect to be drafted here tonight. Selected 4th by Ottawa. When used at the 7th by Vancouver, so the top 2 Americans. Play after that.
Yeah, and Jay O'Brien is talented, but this is a reach, and it's another F grade for me. The Flyers, we've had back-to-back F grades at 18 and 19 for me, and
Interestingly enough, so the Chuck that used from college, the other guys from the UAT, and O'Brien.
the Kings pick is in.
All right, thanks, Liam. Ron Hextall joining me. And Ron, you got close picks there. You picked Joel Farabee, and you got Jay O'Brien. Why these 2 players for your
we look for the best player. 2 forwards is not going to fall where we have. So we're excited about those players. Obviously, young men, but I need to go forward to the quick pass and the way they game it now. We believe in these folks.
You have also said that you wanted to restock on defense at this draft. So what are your thoughts going forward in the future rounds?
We got 7 more picks, so I would draft at least a couple of them.
And they'll probably get a defenseman who's going to be better than who they got in the first round.
Well, good luck to you, Ron.
Thank you.
Phil?
Andrew, thanks. So Philadelphia Flyers drafting for the future. We got a couple of players that are going to be teammates in Philadelphia, Joe Farabee and Jay O'Brien. But next year we'll play Kamataki in New England. Farabee committed to Boston University. O'Brien committed to Providence College. So LA Kings, their rest, walking up the steps, onto the stage. Their picks here at number 20. About to make a selection. Is there a player on the board that stands out right now?
Well, Tom Valeno's number 14. He's our best available after that. Sarah Cole, Dominic Clark, Sarah Cole.
Yeah, Valeno's the second best player on my board. McIsaac's available.
So the LA Kings are up. The pick is in.
Making the selection for the Los Angeles Kings will be longtime scout Denny Fouché. From Canada, Rasmus Kupari.
Rasmus Kupari, second Finn to be taken after Kotkaniemi.
I had Isaac Lundstrom going to. Damn it. I was hoping you'd take Isaac Lundstrom, but that's still a very good pick. Rasmus Kupari could be a better player than. This is a good pick, though, by the Kings at 20. And I had this guy going 1 pick later to the Sharks. It's almost like the Kings said, let's take Rasmus Kupari. This is an A- grade for me.
How much offensive upside there is. At the beginning of the year, there was a lot of talk about Murray was a top 10 guy. That he would be an elite, one of the elite picks in the draft. And the reason why he's at 20, and we had him ranked number 20 in our rankings. The reason that he dropped down was because over the course of the year, good solid hockey player, but maybe not that high-end offensive upside that you would want in the top 10 pick. So it's not a bad pick at number 20.
It's a very good pick at 20. It's a very good pick at 20. Okay, stop it. Craig Button's assessments on these players is just awful. I honestly feel like I need to mute him. I haven't muted him yet, but his assessments on these picks are just garbage. I'm trying to be open-minded and listen to him, but these are garbage assessments. This is a top 20 player in the class and an obvious steal here at 20.
What are some of the things they need to improve on for next season? I think defense. They've got to definitely build up their defense, and I think that's something currently that John Stevens and Rob Blake are very well aware. Both of the former defensemen in the National Hockey League. But they need defense. If they don't get their defense better, that's going to be a problem.
And one area I would add to that, too. Watching it against the Vegas Golden Knights, if it wasn't for Jonathan Quick, they might have lost every game by 6 or 7 goals. They were not fast enough. Halfway through game 2, I'm looking at one. This series is over for the LA Kings. Unless Jonathan Quick was going to be able to score as well as stop it, they need to add a lot of speed and quickness into their group.
San Jose Sharks currently on the clock. LA Kings.
And Kupari off the board here. Yeah, Kupari off the board. Damn it. I think someone else has 7 picks in their mock. I have 6 in the top 14, but I know there were people that Brady Tkachuk at 4, and when you consider that there were people who had Colorado taking Martin Kaut at 16, that's 5, and then the Kings taking Kupari, that's 6. So I think the rest of these picks have been surprises, but I'd say we're tied right now with NHL Network for first place. So I had Kupari going to the Sharks, so that's why I'm not happy about this pick, because I was hoping to get a few more picks right in my mock, but because the Kings reached, that's going to affect the overall standings in my final mock. And I can't get the 22nd or the 21st pick correct, so 23 still in play, 24 is in play, 25, 26, 27. So 29, 30. So there's about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more picks I could get right. I've got 6 right. I can max out with 14 if I run the table at the remaining spots. But the Sharks at 21, I'm going to get this wrong, and I'm going to get Ottawa's pick wrong. So if I can run the table 23 through 27, I could theoretically end this mock with 14 correct picks. So
what do you think he deserves versus what he's asking for at this point?
It's 6 years since he's played the National Hockey League. It's interesting listening to Ron Blake. He says we need scoring, but we also need speed. So can he give you scoring? Maybe he's a specialist on the power play. His speed is not very good.
All right, we'll see how the Kovalchuk situation plays out. As for now, the San Jose Sharks are up there, and their pick is in.
Interesting pick coming up here. Buckle up. San Jose selects from golf Ryan Merkley.
wow. Ryan Merkley out of Guelph. This is a great pick in my opinion. I know there's questions about his maturity issues and whatever, but I don't think it's a former #1 pick in the OHL priority selection. This is a very good selection.
The way he plays the game and the way he reacts to the game. So in other words, how he interacts with his coach and how he interacts with his teammates. So 3-game stretch in February where they both start recognizing that.
And Ryan Merkley off the board, so I'm going to get 25 wrong now in my mock, but this is definitely a reach. Ryan Merkley out of the Guelph Storm. It's definitely a reach. And there's maturity questions with him now. Can this guy play defense effectively? There's a lot of questions with his maturity. And I think that's definitely something you got to take a look at here. I will message Tony Mario about this pick after the draft, but because
They're not afraid of attitude in San Jose. They think they can probably cultivate his attitude. Remember, this is a team that traded for Brent Burns and let him become with someone of the is. They traded for Joe Thornton, but 100% Joe Thornton was a big guy. They didn't be a hard trophy winner. They did a Hall of Famer. They're not afraid in San Jose to take guys that maybe have a bit of a checkered reputation because they think they can cure them when they get there. I'm going to tell you that there's only one person that can cure Ryan Merkley, and that's Ryan Merkley. His skill is undeniable. He's a father and talent, but his attitude needs improving. He's the guy that has to make the decision. Everybody is holding along the line. Everybody. So now it's up to him. And if he does that, he can be a top player. If he doesn't, he won't be.
Up to him, but how important is it?
it's a reach, but it's not a major reach.
To me, it doesn't matter because it's all about him. He's been surrounded by good players and good people.
I'm wondering about the explanations. I think he can look at it.
Yeah, that's right, Liam. The general manager here explained that the Ryan Merkley, a player who stopped fell during the course of the season, won't need to choose him was your first pick today?
Well, he's one of the youngest kids in the draft. He's got high-end talent. He's a difference maker, and we spent quite a bit of time with him. And we believe him.
We see the reaction from his family, just pure joy and elation, and his mom was crying there on the screen. What does that tell you about perhaps the character of kid that you're getting here?
I think he's probably been through a few challenges. A couple of things were thrown his way, but every time we draft him, there's a lot of people there, so a lot of great after party.
There you go. Give us a perspective of what the big picture is here for the Sharks going forward in this draft.
Well, we came in here with difference makers. We've signed a short team. We've got a lot of core guys, but the game has changed a little bit. Finding a partner for things like this, it's got a little mystery work to it. It's a good thing for us.
The Sharks organization is being rumored to be involved in the talk as well for Ilya Kovalchuk. So can you tell us a little bit about your thought process on possibly acquiring him?
Very kind words in that response. He gets right to the point. It's not explain his thought process, but look at risk reward, and that was really the situation with Brian Murphy. Risk reward, maybe not as big of a risk anymore. But that's a defenseman that's under 6 foot. It's the new NHL.
Interesting too. He might decide some of the character or attitude issues that the East Coast had with Brian Murphy. There was a player that used to play in the NHL, Ryan Murphy, very similar style.
Let's hear from Brian Murphy.
All right, Brian, scouting reports have you projected to be a special player at some point throughout your career. What would make you that kind of player?
Just my offensive abilities, playing with the puck. I have the offensive player, power play type. I got working on my defensive side for sure, getting bigger and stronger. Defensive side for sure.
100 points in 2 OHL seasons.
The first B grade of the draft. It's a solid pick.
I guess I just got to keep growing, keep getting better, and keep getting more experience, hopefully. Get a few exhibition games and grow better.
What did it mean to you, Ryan, that moment when you heard the San Jose Sharks call your name?
That was pretty special. I mean, I was getting nervous up there, and I was waiting. It's been a long time. I was just happy. I guess I'm very excited, yeah.
Very excited. Big smile there, Ryan. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Liam?
Yeah, good thanks. That smile certainly speaks volumes. Brian Murphy, the San Jose Sharks, and now you got the Ottawa Senators, just moments away from making their second pick here in the first round. But it's a team in the middle of a whole lot of transition.
I think the biggest question for getting who they draft right now is what are they going to do with Eric Ransom? Where are they going with this player? We've been talking about all the draft picks they have here. Where are they going with Eric Ransom? Well, we got a trade here to the New York Rangers. Would you like to hear a trade? Ottawa trades the 22nd pick in the 2018 NHL Draft to the New York Rangers for picks number 26 and 48 in this year's draft. Ottawa trades 20 picks to the Rangers for 26 and 48. Rangers, you're on the clock.
So, Gary Bettman asks if they want to hear a trade. The draft responds, yes. And this is it.
And this is the longest drought we've had in the NHL draft as far as trades go. So, and the New York Rangers do get the 48th pick, or the 48th pick is now property of the Ottawa Senators. So, I am changing that for tomorrow. And there's a lot we're changing as far as so the New York Rangers now have this pick. It was originally Pittsburgh's pick. They traded it to Ottawa, and now Pittsburgh's first-round pick is being dealt to the New York Rangers. So, I mean, not a massive reach, but a reach nonetheless. And the New York Rangers will now pick at 22. The Ottawa Senators will now pick at 26. So, I'm not sure what the Rangers are doing here at 22, but they dealt 26 and 48. I got to give the Rangers credit here for moving those picks and figuring out how to move up. But they did reach with their first pick. I'm not going to act like they didn't reach.
I like carrots. It's great to get them.
The first round gets all the attention. Some amazing players come out of the later round. Find out which clubs will find those hidden gems. There are plenty of quality players to be had when NHL Network goes on site at the 2018 NHL Draft. Any day, and it's only going to get better. First look at the newest members of your favorite team. It is absolutely packed with hockey executives and decision makers. The best picks are always in the first round. Coverage continues tomorrow on NHL Network.
Here in Dallas, the New York Rangers took Vitaly Ransom at number 9. They still look taken at 28, but here they traded up to the 22nd selection with the Ottawa Senators. So the Rangers 3 picks in the first round. This one at 22, the pick is in. The Rangers are on this.
Yeah, and this is the first trade. It took us 22 picks to trade. Keandre Miller's a great pick here at 22. And I don't like him over Bode Wild, but this is a good value pick here. Another B grade for me. Keandre Miller, I'm probably going to give the Rangers a B grade here for trading up. So, I mean, we could get this pick right. If Ryan McLeod goes to the Ducks, that'll be the 7th pick we've gotten right. There's a lot of talent still on the board. McIsaac, Valeno are still there. There is a lot of talent still on the board here and a lot of good talent. Someone's going to fall and be a huge steal tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of steals tomorrow and a lot of massive steals because we're 9 picks away from being done with this draft, and you're already looking at a lot of steals in terms of value this late in the first round.
Really want to get that bad. Really means a lot. It shows how your hard work and dedication pays off in the end. To spend this time with my family and friends really means a lot too.
We all know you have a special relationship with your mom as well. What was that moment like when you heard your name called with her?
It was pretty happy and also sad at the same time. I didn't see her cry, but the tears were joy, of course. Getting to spend this time with her and really experience this is the dream come true.
You've described yourself as being a defenseman that is fourth forward. Why would you say that about your play?
Yeah, I actually played forward all my life. I've been playing defense. So I really thought of myself as an offensive type player, and I think I can really add offense to a team.
To add a lot of strength, we heard the guys upstairs talking about it, but you recorded the strongest grip in both your left and right hands. So let me feel it. Let me test the guys. No, guys, I think he's being a little generous here. That's a pretty strong grip, though. Congratulations. Look forward to seeing you in the Big Apple.
Appreciate it.
Liam?
We always look forward to the handshake line. There's like a Grant's going, oh boy.
And if Ryan McLeod of the Mississauga Steelheads is right,
Rangers, the latest for the red, white, blue to go here in the first round. Big night for USA, big night for
yeah, and 6 American players have been drafted so far.
It's a lot about this analytically, but it's such a huge night for
Commissioner Bettman at the beginning of this talked about the sacrifice that these young men made. We talked about the Broncos, how strong, and the dreams that everybody they got on that bus. They're the same as these young kids here. They're aspiring to the highest levels, and the sacrifices go with it. Parents trying to get you to the rink, parents sacrificing financially and trying to move it forward. It is a tremendous part of it.
Right now, Darren Drager is with DeAndre's mother.
All right, Liam, thank you. Amy Cameron just talked about how this is a dream come true. It was a bit sad because he saw tears in your eyes. I'm going to assume, obviously, those are tears of joy.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of him.
Describe him as a young guy developing as an athlete, because it seems like he would be very competitive.
He's very competitive, he's very determined, and he just wants to fulfill his dream. He wants to make our family very proud, and he's done that.
Well, he's well on his way to joining the National Hockey League with the New York Rangers. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Liam, thanks for the state of hockey to the Big Apple. DeAndre Miller is on the move. The Ducks are up.
From Luleå of the Swedish Elite League, Isaac Lucas.
Isaac Lundstrom's an awesome value pick for the Anaheim Ducks here. I had him at 20 on my board, one spot ahead of Kupari. So for the Ducks to get him, and Isaac Lundstrom's one of the bigger steals in this draft. Yeah, and Isaac Lundstrom, I will scroll down here and click on Isaac Lundstrom to imply that he was selected at 23. So starting to look like the next opportunity for me to be right on a pick is Minnesota taking Jet Wu. I could be right on this pick, but if Jet Wu does not go to Minnesota at 24, it's looking like we're going to have a drought. So I had this guy in my top 20. It's a great value pick for the Anaheim Ducks here at pick 23. And he's 20 on our board. It's a good value pick for the Anaheim Ducks. A very good value pick. It's a great value pick, Isaac Lundstrom.
Makes your business great with Vistaprint business cards. With more shapes, paper stocks, and finishes to choose from, you can create the card that's right for your business. 500 standard cards start at just $9.99, but you get the promo code 500 at Vistaprint.com. Stay lucky time, where we're changing the contemporary makeovers. Today, use the ultimate power and shape the upper half with a double longer.
So, I mean, Isaac Lundstrom to the Anaheim Ducks at 23 is one of the better picks in this year's NHL draft. And it's a really good pick. I gave this an A grade. I figured it was a pick worthy of an A grade. And I'm really hoping Minnesota takes Jet Wu here. I just want to be right about another pick because it feels like I'm tied with Bob McKenzie and Craig Button here. They've each had 6 picks right. I've had 6 picks right. And I have Jet Wu going to Minnesota, so it would be cool to win. another mock. But I can also see with Jared McIsaac, with Bode Wild still on the board, why they have to go that route. But I think Jet Wu, honestly, is a first-round talent in this draft.
Well, one of the things that happened, USA Hockey delivered Brady Kachuk in the 3-hole. You look at all the Wallstrom at 6. You look at Quinn Hughes at 8. You look at Jay O'Brien at 10. USA Hockey doing a masterful job. But the big thing to me is all those players. I picked them in that spot because I really think long-term all these players are going to make substantial contributions in the National Hockey League.
And here's our Isaac Lundstrom grade.
Is there someone that stands out? Someone that you can see right now, Greg, that's what's been Bob?
Well, Joe Milano's our best available. We have at number 14 on the board.
I had him at 13 on my board.
18 and 19, so there's 3 of our top 20 who haven't gone yet.
Yeah, I've got McIsaac and Veleno as the top 2. Bode Wild, Akil Thomas, and Saron Noel. So 5 of my top 20 are still on the board here.
First chance to make the first selection as GM of the Minnesota Wild.
The Minnesota Wild to say thank you to Dallas for its hospitality. Congratulations to the Washington Capitals. Say hello to our fans back in the state of hockey. And with the selection, Brent Flair will make it. From Leksand, Sweden, Philip Johansson.
Wow. A massive reach by the Wild here.
Again, like, I think what you got to keep in mind is that Tony, I don't think there's anybody can say it would be a surprise that we didn't have it. He's a good defense that stays well. I would say that he doesn't do any one thing really well. I see him as a Justin Braun type defensive replacement with the San Jose Sharks. I don't see him as a guy that's going to.
Philippe Johansson's a massive reach here. This is probably the worst pick the Wild have made. The Wild have made some good picks over the years, which is what's allowed them to remain a competitive team. But this pick here is a freaking reach.
54 on the spot. You mentioned some players there that drafted that were much higher. Is there a reason why we're seeing some of those players that you mentioned before slipping at this point?
Well, I mean, Vallejo's game, lack of higher end offense.
Philippe Johansson.
Philippe Johansson, just looking at the 10 scouts that we surveyed, and
So that 66th best player goes to.
Adam has a first-round pick in this draft. That's not to say it's a bad pick.
It is a bad pick. Stop being objective about every goddamn selection, Bob McKenzie. This is why you're not fun to listen to. Well, it's a defenseman. They reached for a defenseman. I'm not going to give it an F grade because this draft is loaded with defensemen.
Right shot defenseman, to me, Bode Wild has significantly greater potential than Philip Johansson. And I think what Bode Wild needs is that coaching, play up the level, understand what it takes, but the skating, the power, the shots, I think Bode Wild is probably a lot more.
I said that you can't give a defenseman an F grade, but this is a massive reach here. It's a strong defensive class, so I'm not sure what to think of this pick here.
Paul, you make your first pick as the general manager of this franchise, and you pick a player that was considered to be off the board at the time. Why did you choose him?
Well, I've always liked smart players, and talking to our staff here this year, we think that it's the right type of player that will be a great player in Minnesota. First draft I ran, I took a guy named Ryan Suter, who's also there. And, you might have a lefty and righty someday that are playing together, and he's just off the chart with the smarts.
The Wild have for 3 straight seasons now made it only into the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You've been listed as
prospects coming up. And I think it's important that we go through the draft. We have the same thing in Nashville. We know how critical it is to pick the right type of player, the right type of people that are going to make us successful. And hopefully, as we start to build through the draft, we'll pick the right type of people that are going to take us to the next level.
All right, well, thank you very much. Good luck the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Every thanks, Minnesota makes their pick. The Toronto Maple Leafs are on the clock. Coming up the season, which they have 105 points, which is the sixth most in the NHL. Us on the phone. Well, let's see, lots of decisions to be made here. Game's been Ransom on a 36-goal season. Unrestricted free agent right now, so let's go to Darren Griffin.
I can tell you guys, Kyle Dubas appears to be heading to the central registry, and obviously he's got some pretty big skates to fill. And lost the offensive change that ringside. He's expected clearly to go into unrestricted free agency, perhaps losing Tyler Bozak as well as Leo Palmer. But we believe that Kyle Dubas and the Toronto Maple Leafs will be among those teams who, in fact, do present to John Tavares in the interview period, assuming Tavares goes into that period on either Sunday or Monday, guys.
Darren, thanks so much. That would certainly make things very interesting for a team that's very, very clearly on the rise.
Yeah, and Brendan Shanahan's the president of hockey operations. Kyle Dubas, the general manager.
I think before they traded back, the Flyers jumped into there to take Travis Stackey. They traded back with Columbus, and then they traded back again, and Columbus moved up to take Gabriel Carlson. They ultimately ended up with a bunch of picks. One of them was Travis German at, I believe, 36. And Travis German's going to be a top four defenseman for the National, for the Toronto Maple Leafs for a good long time. So a lot of people joked about Kyle Dubas, that talking with the analytics and measuring, trading that pick, getting a couple of those, and he talked about it and actually joked about it before coming into this draft and saying, I don't know why people would necessarily think that I would do that, but obviously there's a chance that's going to happen.
And Darren was talking about them making this presentation to John Tavares. This idea that they could perhaps entice him to come from Long Island up to Toronto. How serious a chance do you give him that to know? Let's just look at the Washington Capitals this year. They win with Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Eller, and B.
Yes, so there's a lot of D- grades. I've handed out 2 F grades, and I think I only handed those grades out because it's not a deep center draft. It's not a deep center draft. It's a deep blue line class, but this is a reach here. And I'm curious to see what Toronto's going to do here.
Is able to, wants to talk to, and at least make a pitch and see what they can do. Some people think they've got a sweater there, number 91 with the C on it, all ready to go. Hey, John Tavares has some hard thinking to do about, does he want to get to the shopping career Sunday, or does he want to do a deal with Tyler? You would think to get to this point, he's going to go to Sunday and see.
Here's Commissioner Beck.
We have a trade.
Wow!
The 25th pick in this year's draft to St. Louis in exchange for picks number 29 and 76. So Toronto, 25 to St. Louis for 29 to 76, all in this year's draft. St. Louis, you're on the clock.
So the St. Louis Blues have moved up to number 25 here. And this is big. This is a big trade here, as this is a big trade. I mean, the Blues moving up in the draft here to 29 to 25. This is a big trade here. And the Blues moving up. Toronto is moving down. And Toronto will now pick at 29. We're only posting grades for the first 2 rounds of the draft. So everyone in my top 80 has been picked. Which is actually kind of amazing that Toronto settling for a first and a third, and they're going to move down with the Blues here at 29. I think Toronto wanted to move out of this spot, but they didn't really have any leverage, which is why they settled here. And there have been a lot of reaches. I'm not sure how many other picks I can get right this year, but I'd imagine the number is relatively small here. Ryan Merkley was 25 on my board, so I could get 26 and 27 right. So that's 2, 3, 4. There's 5 picks I could end up getting right. So I had 6 right in the first round. The most I can end up with is 11. But right now, I think I'm tied with both Bob McKenzie and Craig Button for 6 picks right in the first round. So I finished like second or third in 2014 when I got 6 picks right. So, and I got the first 6 picks right, and I didn't get a single pick right the rest of the first round. This draft has been a little bit different. So there's going to be a lot of good picks tomorrow. I'm actually relatively surprised by how bad the drafting has been. Dominic Bach, some scouts think he has the best shot in the entire draft class. I think this is a reach here, but this is a pick that a lot of people are high on. So I think he's a reach, but I also think he's an immense project player.
Obviously, a German player who plays in Sweden. The scouts I talked to had it the first round. The projections for the rankings were number 15, number 15, 16, number 17, number 17, number 18, and number 15. So for the St. Louis Blues, they got this guy. Can't explain why he slipped. Nevertheless, he was very much a consensus top 15 to 20 pick in this draft.
I did not have a top 20 grade on him. I'm going to give this, I had him at 55 on my board. So I'm going to give this a D grade for the Blues. Or a C grade. It's a solid pick. It is a reach, but it is a solid pick. And the Blues, the fact that they only had to give up a 3rd round pick to get him is sort of impressive.
Czechs that went to Sweden because they felt it was better for the development. That's not what Dominic Bach did here. But if we look at goal scoring, he's a goal scorer, a one-dimensional goal scorer. But hey, I don't care for one-dimensional as long as they win. Yeah, that is.
One-dimensional players, I do care if they're one-dimensional. This is why you're no longer a scout, Craig Button. This is why. And Dominic Bach,
0% financing for 60 months on every model. Or save up to $77.60 on select models. 4th of July offers and soon.
And the Blues gave up a first and third round pick to move up to 25 for a second round talent. But you look at all the talent that's still on the board. I mean, there's still a lot of good players on the board here that are going to slip to round 2. You're looking at least 5 top 20 players that could slip to round 2. You're looking at 5 top 20 players that could potentially fall to round 2. And there's 5 picks left, 26 through 31. McLeod, Jet Wooth. So there's 7 top 25 players still on the board. There's Matthias Samuelsson, who I had at 26. There's 5 more picks I could still end up getting right in this first round. And we'll see what happens here.
Stage here in Dallas. We continue our coverage of the first round. Player at this point that stands out, we talked about those who it's an off-the-board picks already. We saw number 54 selected. A player right now that would make sense, Bob?
Well, Joe Valeno is the number 14 pick on our board. He hasn't gone yet.
Yeah, I think Valeno's better than McIsaac, but him and McIsaac are the top 2. And Bob McKenzie has McIsaac as a right winger. That's wrong. It's like you deserve to be muted for getting the position wrong, but I can't find the clicker. And we'll find out what the Ottawa Senators do at 26 in just a few moments. And you can see the best available on our split screen. And this is just...
Before making the selection, I'd like to see Washington. Congratulations on winning the first Stanley Cup.
There's 6 picks left in the first round, and there's 5 top 20 players still on the board.
Jacob Bernard Doctor listed at number 46.
Second consecutive year that a player from the Alberta League is drafted in the first round after Cameron Bard and last year.
Yeah, Jacob Bernard Docker's a guy that I've seen mocked in the first round. And Jacob Bernard Docker's a guy we had as our final defenseman in the second round. A little bit of a reach here, but this pick at 59 on our board, this is an excellent value pick here, and it's a nice value pick. It's not an excellent value pick, but it's a nice pick. I'm probably going to give it a C grade, and
That said, as the case with Phil Hansen, the 10-man panel of NHL scouts that I interviewed, none of the 10 of them had Bernard Docker as a top 31 pick. Now, I should point out, though, multiple other guys amongst that group of 10 had him between 32 and 40, and therefore we had him as a consensus pick in the 40.
But this is the thing, Craig. ISS Hockey did have a first-round grade on him. And one of the scouting outlets that I read had a first-round grade on this guy. But they had him at like 31.
The Chicago Blackhawks said it was 30 years ago that Jeremy Roenick was the 8th selection in 88.
Scale. I said no. He said no. I said no. Scale scored a goal.
Pretty classic JR. And it's a pretty good line. You ever run into a situation like that? You have a prospect in, you'd like to know something about it. It's personal, physical, and he's just not forthcoming.
had lots of tricks to add a little bit more weight. Like they put the socks high and put padding that had weights on them underneath the bottom of their foot, so they're in your pocket, so they could add 5 or 6. Listen, Jeremy Rowan was a thin player who played hard.
They put a long-stint player at their academy before he went to Boston College for 2 or 3 days. Then he went to Gatineau, the whole Olympic. Jeremy Rowan was a fearless player. Everybody knew he was going to be a great pro player. Just was he going to survive long enough? Because of how crazy he was on the ice.
But that was a different era. Like that was a different era where under 6 foot, oh boy, can't do that. And they're not heavy. Like everybody put a lot of stock in the league. You watch Jeremy Rowan play. It sounds good. I remember his first game at home. I was there, and it was like, wow. And it wasn't just the skill, but you really had that. Yeah, fierceness about that. They carried a great career himself. The gamble personality, did you deal with it?
Not a case.
Yeah, I think too.
Well, it's amazing watching Tony Monty and Jeremy Rowan play on the same line in prep school.
Think about that.
It's amazing. They shredded people.
But now went 1, Linden went 2. Okay, Curtis Lecision went 3. And then you start to go through it. Gordon was 8, Livermore 9, Timo Solani 10. Not bad.
Really good. So Jeremy Rowan went 8th overall in '88. That was 30 years ago. Earlier tonight, the Chicago Blackhawks. They had the 8th overall selection, and
They got Adam Bachfist, which was actually an excellent selection. And if the Blackhawks come away from this draft with Joe Veleno or if they get McIsaac and they end up getting 2 of the top 12 defenders, this is going to be a great draft for them. And they're going to be able to turn things around relatively quickly because you've got very good talent. And there's picks. If Benoit Oliver Krall is the pick at 27, like I mocked, this would be pick number 7. But there's just so much talent on the board. Chicago really does have an abundance of options at 27.
their tickets in here now. Chicago Blackhawks press up on the stage. The team that's looking to get back into the playoff picture. Here, about to add their newest player.
Blackhawks are proud to select from Drummondville, Nicholas Beaudin.
Nicholas Beaudin's a good pick. And I like this guy, but to take him over Veleno is very questionable. I actually really like this pick. I'm going to give it a B grade. I think it's a solid value pick by the Chicago Blackhawks.
First round pick, and it goes to what Chicago needs to do. They need to build their base in the back. And they know they're getting a little older. They're losing some guys. They've traded some guys. This is only going to help.
I'll go back to Joe Crandall. Get to the puck, make the right decision, and then be able to execute it. Holtquist did it, and now they get it. Holtquist does exactly the same thing. 3 of the 10 skills we surveyed had him in their top 31.
Who's in the top 31? Chicago Blackhawks. Taken with number 27. Because Pierre Mitchell is a need in Chicago, but he was certainly on the blue line. So now they go to the best man break. They get another dimension here. And the trend continues. American heading up to Vancouver. Was at 18, he was selected by Stan Bowman, who's now with Catherine Johnson.
All right, Liam, thank you. 2 offensive defensemen are the way you go here with your 2 first-round picks. Take me through Nicholas Beaudin and what made him a choice here late in this first round.
He really came on strong this year. I thought, especially the second half of the year. had a chance to see him play in the playoffs. I was impressed with his game. He's got a lot of poise. He's got a lot of smarts. He can do it all. You know, and he's not the biggest guy, but he's so efficient with the way he plays. Offensive, he scored a lot of points this year, and he's one of the top defensemen, even defending. So we love his overall game.
And what's the biggest difference between his game versus who you chose at number 8, Adam Boquist, another defenseman?
Yeah, Adam's got the elite offensive ability. You know, he compares himself to Eric Carlson, and I think style-wise, they play a very similar game. So he's a right-hander, Nicholas is a left-hander, so we've got two great defensemen in the future.
I don't want to go back or reload the page. Ugh! Damn it! All right, we got to click on some players here. Click, 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 click. I'm pissed off. So,
busy first day for you, Stan. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Liam.
Kevin, thanks so much. So the Chicago Blackhawks, 2 first-round picks here. Adam Boquist at number 8. Nicholas Bodon at number 7. They address a need on defense. The New York Rangers next up. They already selected twice here in the first round. Rangers at pick 9.
I feel like the media has this agenda, but I've got Jack Drury, Bulat, Shafi Gulen, and Rasmus Dahlin. I think Dahlin at 31 is the best chance of those picks to happen, to transpire. Ty Dellandrea to Dallas is not a pick the Stars deserve. I'm pissed off about that pick.
Rangers on the clock here. Less than a minute to go.
They're already up there, man.
Oh, perhaps they're eager.
They are eager.
If they're this eager, is there a player in mind that you think
I
they
still
need?
can't believe Bodie Wild hasn't been picked.
I'm really
I'll tell you what,
surprised.
who's not having a good day right now is Joe Valeno. Deemed an exceptional player by Hockey Canada for entry in the Quebec League. He's a 15-year-old. Didn't put up high-end offense, but is a real solid character, two-way player. Doesn't have a lot of wow factor in this game, but it's wow to me that he hasn't gone in relation to first round.
Any reason that you can see why he wouldn't have been selected at this point?
Joe Valeno, because he doesn't have high-end ability. I think he's just a solid player. I think people see players with more potential.
Valeno's still on the board. We'll see if he goes here. The Rangers pick is in.
New York Rangers select from Luleå, the Swedish Hockey League, Niels Lundqvist.
Nils Lundqvist is a guy that people thought had more upside than.
Excellent hands. He knows how to get himself in the right positions to take advantage of opportunities.
I had this guy at 54 on my board, so while it is a reach, it's not a horrible reach.
The biggest guy, he takes it and he competes. And when you look at other players that maybe not similar size, similar stature, yeah, you know that that's not a strength of his, but he gets in there.
But, yeah.
If you think the physical ability,
Well, he's also going to the Rangers, so he can take that to the level 1.
it sounds a little differently. It's KVISD, not QI.
Yeah, and Nils Lundqvist is a player that
This year, number 36 on our list. 4 of the 10 skills I talked to did have a ring as a first round pick. It reminds me of Sammy Knott. That's the guy I was going to tell you. We're on the same page.
It reminds me of kind of Sammy Martin. Obviously, a fan came out of Yanoskila, which is a central part of the country. Luleå is way up north of the sea. But that's who this player reminds me of, Sammy Martin.
And when you think about players, you know, this
I'm probably going to give this a B- grade. I do think it's a reach, but
he just kept showing potential and a capability. And you're the SHL, the state hockey, which is a property, and you do as well as he did as a 7-year-old. People stand up and think, oh, that is a man's win. Like, that is a big boy win. And that is on par with the most respected hockey. The big 17-year-old player in my league, that's really good.
New York Rangers started the night with 3 first-round picks. They made a move, but they still finished up with 3 first-round picks. At number 9, Kelly Krasov. Then came back at 22. Keandre Miller, and here it's Lundqvist drafted at 58. And the junior, and we still have 4 Swedish defensemen in the
to acquire two great players. What was the philosophy coming into today's approach?
We were trying to get the best players we could. We got 3 players who are pretty high on our list. The move for Miller was something we felt like he wasn't going to be there with our later picks, so we just moved up a few spots and were able to get him. And to get Lindquist there, is feeling pretty good about the race so far.
Yeah, Lindquist now the 3rd straight defenseman that's taken that's a sub-6 foot player. What does it tell you about the trend of where this game is headed?
I think if you want
Yeah, there's 3 players I mocked 29 through 31. They're all still on the board here, and I could theoretically end up getting all of these picks right. It's theoretically possible.
We see our new head coach up there, Dave Quinn, obviously making the transition here from the NCAA, his first NHL draft. What have you seen from him so far?
Well, he fits right in, right? He looks the part, and he's happy to be here. And so far, so good. He hasn't lost any games.
That is true. A big positive for the Rangers fans. All right, Jeff, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Guys.
Catherine, thanks to the New York Rangers. Catherine mentioned a new head coach, 3 new players, and now the Toronto Maple Leafs who moved back there on the clock. We've talked about Bodie Wild, Joe Valeno. Makes sense for a lot of teams. Makes sense for Toronto.
And
Well, he's certainly got a pedigree. To Craig's point, the concern about him is he doesn't have high-end offense. But in terms of character, being able to play a strong two-way game, and as we say, declared an exceptional player, which sometimes becomes a burden for a 15-year-old. But nevertheless, he gained early entry to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. We'll see if Toronto jumps up on him here. It wouldn't surprise me if they did.
That exceptional status, because it starts to lump in names like McDavid and Tavares. And then,
Tavares, Aaron Ekblad, Connor McDavid.
and then they go number 1.
Then they go Sean Day, who the New York Ranger prospect, who obviously went what, third round, and now Joe Valeno would drop. So again, it's all, at the end of the day, it's all window dressing.
yeah, I had Jack Drury to Toronto. I don't think they're going to take him. I mean, I wouldn't fault them if they did, but I'm not confident in that pick with all the value that's happened. That's the scary thing is the Red Wings can get Jared McIsaac at 30, or they can get Bode Wild at 30, and they had a successful draft by that standard.
Again, this is maybe they see him in a different vein. But I'm sure I see him. I see Lars Eller. So he's a third-line center. That's what it is. Third-line center, yeah.
I don't see Lars Eller with Valeno. I really believe Valeno had the ability to be the best center in the entire draft.
Toronto Maple Leafs would like to thank Jim Hill and the Stars for their hospitality throughout the week. With the 29th selection, 2018 NHL Entry Draft, the Toronto Maple Leafs are proud to select from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, Rasmus Sandin.
Good up on the board. The 5th Swedish defenseman selected here in the first round.
And there's a strong connection, obviously, between Rasmus Sandin and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and the former general manager of the Sault Greyhounds, Kyle Dubas, and the Sault Ste. Marie native, Kyle Dubas. And Rasmus Sandin is obviously another sub-6 foot.
And why did you have to do that? That ruins – this limits me to 1 pick in my mock. 1 pick. Bulat Shafi Gulen. I mean, it's a good pick. I just wanted to have – I just didn't want to finish with a 3-way tie for number 1. So we need Bulat Shafi Gulen to go to the Red Wings here. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be awesome if it did. I'm competitive as fuck. I want to win, man. Laughing my ass off. Well,
It's a nice bit of work by Kyle Dubas because it would be really easy to take Rasmus Sandin with that earlier pick. He holds off, he picks up a 3rd-round pick, drops down, and probably gets the same player that he was going to take at number 25.
So the new GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, patient here in the draft, Kyle Dubas, gets Rasmus Sandin late in the first round. He puts on the sweater for the first time. He is now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs, 29 picks down.
I had him going to the Capitals at 31. So Rasmus Sandin going I like this pick. It's a good value pick here. I'm going to give Toronto an A grade for taking Rasmus Sandin.
Hybrid power for maximum efficiency, 360-degree surveillance, and dual touch screens to avoid conflicts. That might be nice.
Get to the Chrysler Pacifica Incredible Sales Event. See Disney Pixar's Incredibles 2, theaters June 15th.
This is a great value pick, but there's still 5 top 20 players still on the board here. And it's a good value pick. I mean, honestly, this is a good value pick.
Whatever it is that makes your business great, promote it with Vista. 500 standard business cards start at just $9.99 when you enter code TVPRO at vistaprint.com.
When you're creating strikes, teams driven.
Totally satisfy a craving.
Hey, I'm curious about your social security work. Just sign up online and I'll work with you on your social security number and any one of thousands of different sites. That's super helpful. How much is it? Well, if you have the STEM card, it's free. No way. Yes way. We just think it's important.
So Toronto, they get Rasmus Sandin at 29. The pick is up. We're still live on Talk Shoe. It's been about 3 hours since we've gone live. And it really is a draft where you're seeing a lot of smart drafting, a few reaches, but overall smart drafting for the most part. And while you're seeing a few reaches in terms of value, you're also getting good picks. It's a deep defensive class, and I'll go back and I'll look at how many defensemen were picked in the first round. Because I said 13 defensemen would get picked in the first round. And we had Quinn Hughes and defenseman 2, 7, 8, 4, 5 defensemen with Dobson, and then Ty Smith was the 6th defenseman drafted. And then Philippe Johansson was defenseman 6, defenseman 7, defenseman 8, defenseman 9, defenseman 10. So I said 13 defensemen would get picked in the first round. We've had 10 defensemen selected. And there won't be 13 defensemen selected tonight, but there could be 12. But I did mock Bulat Shafi Gula to the Red Wings at 30. I don't think they'll take him at 30. I'm not confident in the pick. But you look at the Red Wings, they have really done a good job loading up tonight. Wow! The Red Wings ended this draft with 2 of the top 15 players. They are the big winner tonight. And yes, I'm giving Valeno an A+ grade. That is an absolute fucking steal. And I am going to say that because it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat how I honestly felt like this guy was the #1 center in the entire draft.
Especially if you've been sweating it out for the entire
It's funny how it works. I mean, this kid is a captain of the Olympic team for Team Canada last August. So he's got character, he's got leadership. He was the exceptional player in 2015. We talked about exceptional players in Canada. John Tavares, Sarah Nicola, Connor McDavid, Sean Day, Joe Polino. Those are the only 5 that's happened to. The last 2 are not Tavares, Ekblad, and McDavid. That makes life difficult for you sometimes to burden to carry around.
How big of a burden is it if you don't become Tavares is that McDavid of the world?
Having said that, in order to get exceptional status, you must apply. So, well, you made a good point earlier that, it really was exceptional status. You have to be that good to be moving into junior hockey at 15. Now, teams are looking at it. We get a top player into our league, and it's lost a little bit of its luster on what exceptional means. And that's no fault of Joe Valeno, but that's the reality of what's happening. The thing of it is, exceptional status wasn't necessarily to say this player's exceptional. He's going to be a number one overall pick in the NHL. What they're saying is, as a 15-year-old, this kid is exceptional in the sense that he should be playing junior hockey a year ahead of all of his peers. You can argue with whether it should have happened for Sean Day, whether it should have happened for Joe Valeno, and retroactively, because they didn't go, because they haven't been put stars in the draft, like McDavid, like Tavares, like Aaron Ekblad. It is pause to consider. I've always thought, honestly, for the whatever benefits you accrue by being 50 years old and getting a year early to make junior hockey, the burden, and it's in some instances, that extra year.
I had Valeno going to Dallas at 13, and this is a steal.
Joe Valeno, 2 players. Were you surprised we're still on the board at the time that you chose them?
Yeah, we were surprised. Obviously, we thought Zadina was going to go in the top 5, and certainly we're thrilled to get him. A guy that can score. You always need scoring, and obviously with Joe Valeno, got great speed. Got into the league early, so we're excited to get him. So great draft for us so far. In the first round, we're happy to do 2 high school forwards.
In the second and third round, you've got 5 more picks coming your way. So what are you concentrating on?
Well, we want to get some D at some point in time. We just felt we couldn't pass these forwards up. So obviously, pick today and tomorrow we're back on the board. So we're excited.
Busy weekend for you, Ken. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much. So the Ravens first round picks. Philip Zadina at number 6, and then Joe Valeno, a player who earlier in the draft is there at number 30. So we mentioned that look of relief for Joe Valeno. A different reaction though from Cody Wild as he hears these picks and continues not to hear his name being called.
Yeah, there's no.
Well, this is an awesome pick for the Red Wings, and this is definitely
So, we saw that with our own great Toronto after when the sun landed, like early in the second round. I don't think he enjoyed the next day.
We were on a final pick in the first round, and it belongs to the Cup champion Washington Capitals. This was the scene in Vegas. Alexander Ovechkin finally hoisting the Stanley Cup. It took a long time, so you knew he wasn't going to let it go. Continue. A quick sip. Right back to the party. We found the next day. That's the Ovechkin. What you're doing here. At the Nationals game. You're Alexander Ovechkin. If your first attempt at the pitch doesn't go your way, you decide on 1-4 and they give it to you. Go for a swing, why not? The parade.
and the Capitals, the Stanley Cup champions, are finally up, and I'm hoping Jared McIsaac or Bode Wild is the pick, because those are the top 2 players on the board, honestly, at this point. I had McIsaac at 12. He's 26 on the other boards, and they have him listed as a winger, but I think he's more of a defender than a winger.
You think about the blue line, that's always what I think of. I think Bode Wild. You're probably looking at a defenseman. When you start to look down there, perhaps Jared McIsaac, also very proud of the sled for the American Ravens of the National Hockey.
Alexander Alexiev. That's a typical Capitals pick. It's a nice pick. It's a reach, but I'm going to give it a B grade. I think.
We saw that with Dimitri Orlov. And now, the defenseman handles the puck really well, moves the puck up the ice. Not what I would call a high-end offensive producer, but if you get out of your own zone with the puck, you're not going to be able to get on the attack. And with their number of really good offensive forwards, Very difficult year on personal front. Girl, let's say, there's one passed away in the middle of the junior hockey season, so we had to take some time away from the game, and rightfully so. But Alexei was a big guy, 6'4", almost 200 pounds. He had been number 30 on our board, and he goes 31st overall.
Yeah, and Draft Site had 6 picks correct in the first round, and I'm glad the Red Wings did not pick this guy at 30, Alexander Alexiev, because that means I would not have had the most accurate box. So we have a 4-way tie. Draft Site had 6 picks, Craig Button 6 picks, Bob McKenzie had 6 picks in the first round, and I had 6 picks in the first round. So we had a 4-way tie for that number 1 spot, and it's unreal. This is a solid pick, though. Slight reach for Alexander Alexiev, but he was a guy many had a first-round grade on.
Chelsea did not go in this first round. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our 31 players. Sarah Noel, Ryan McLeod, Bobby Wild, Jeremy McCarthy, Akil Thomas, and Matthew Samuelson were not taken on day 1 of the draft. So we're back forward for round 2.
Well, whether it's the full Stanley Cup or the Mountain Stanley Cup, the party continues. So, running kick McClellan makes his pick there. Alex Alexiev, the final pick in the first round of the 2018 NHL Draft. We will recap the first round.
We had 11 defenders drafted in the first round, and there were some solid picks. Don't get me wrong. There were a lot of good, solid value picks in this draft, and I think the Red Wings were the big winner tonight because they got 2 of the top 15 players with their first 2 selections. They have 2 second-round picks as well as 3 third-round picks. And if they can get some defenders tomorrow, they can really monopolize this draft in their favor and build a Stanley Cup team. I think the Red Wings are a playoff team now. I don't know where they're going to end up in the division, but there was talk that Jeff Skinner would get traded. That did not come to fruition. He may get traded tomorrow morning for a 2019 first-round pick, but it's not. He did not get traded. There were a lot of rumors that he would get dealt tonight, and I think Detroit really got a lot better with this draft. And the scary thing is they're going to be better next year, a lot better, because 11 defenders, I had 13 on my board, but you look at what's happening tomorrow. McIsaac could still be picked. You've got Bode Wild, Akil Thomas, 4 top 20 players on my board, 6 players, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10 players with first-round grades are still on my board heading into tomorrow. I know that Button and their other guys had like 6, but I had Alexander Alexiev at 40 on my board, but I figured he'd get picked. But there's still 10 players with first-round grades still on the board here. And if you're the Red Wings, you have an opportunity to stockpile a lot of these defensemen. There's a lot of defensemen that are falling in the draft a lot further than I thought they would. And I think with this draft, you've got a lot of talent still there for Detroit in day 2. And Detroit has 2 second-round picks and 3 third-round picks. So they have a monopoly as far as talent, and they can load up pretty easily tomorrow. And it's a very strong blue line class, so there's going to be a lot of talent there. I think the Red Wings are probably the big winner of the draft tonight. I know people are going to talk about Stan Rasmus Dahlin and Andrei Svechnikov going 1 and 2, but Detroit getting Veleno for the future to groom behind Michael Rasmussen and Dylan Larkin, because this year you're going to have Zetterberg on the top line, you're going to have Dylan Larkin on the second line, you're going to have Michael Rasmussen on the third line. But eventually, when Zetterberg retires, you're going to have a top 3 line combination of Dylan Larkin, Michael Rasmussen, and Joe Veleno, a very promising, very effective 1-2-3 punch in Detroit. And you're going to have Philippe Zadina on the top 6 probably down the road as well. So the Red Wings are the clear winner of this draft. and they have the most ammunition heading into tomorrow. So I think Buffalo, Carolina, and Detroit were the 3 teams that actually did enough to validate why they should be in the playoff discussion, whereas everyone else, you're going to have to take that approach in free agency and hope to get quality players. So I really got to give the Red Wings some credit, and they deserve a lot of credit. I had a first-round grade on Ryan Merkley. Sorry, but I'm muting NHL. I'm muting NBCSN because their coverage was just awful. I tried to be a good sport about it, but I feel like their analysis on the picks was awful. There's a lot I didn't agree with, and I tried to be objective as possible. But, yeah, Craig Button, Bob McKenzie, Draft Site, and myself each had 6 picks correct in the first round. So it's a 4-way tie. And, yeah, tomorrow's going to be huge because if I can get any picks right in the second round tomorrow, then that'll be the tiebreaker. Because these other guys, they only did 1-round mocks. They didn't do 2-round mocks like me. So, yeah. So it's a very interesting dynamic, to say the least. And Alexander Alexiev, I really like this pick here. And so that's it for this year's NHL Draft Special. Let me get the final pick up and split screen that for you guys, because Alexander Alexiev was at 40 on the board, and he's not going to be picked at 40. But yeah, I mean, we're at the 3.5 hour mark of the podcast. And we probably could have done a pre-draft show at 7 p.m., but I was hungry and I wasn't sure how quickly everything was going to go by. Last year's draft was 3 hours, 31 minutes, and this year's draft, 3 hours, 27 minutes. So there's a lot of talent on the board heading into tomorrow. So Washington taking the 40th best player at 31 on our board. And we're not going to be on Talk Show tomorrow, but we will be on Google Hangouts tomorrow morning. And we'll have live grades for round 2 tomorrow morning on Google Hangouts. And we will also give you updates whenever someone on our top 80 gets picked. And everyone in our top 80 got selected in the first round. Even though there were reaches, pretty big breaches, I might add, everyone in our top 80 did get selected in the first round. So much better scouting. It wasn't like the MLB draft where we only had 50 players on our board and nobody got picked. We actually did some more homework, did some more research, and everyone in our top 80 got selected in the first round tonight. So congratulations to all 31 of those individuals who got selected in the first round tonight. I really am happy for you guys. And yeah, I'm happy with this mock as well, but Detroit won the draft tonight, in my opinion, getting Joe Veleno at 30 and Philippe Zadina at 6, which I did not think would happen, to get 2 top 15 players. Veleno was my number 1 center, and Philippe Zadina was a guy who I thought could push Svechnikov to be the number 1 winger in this draft. So for the Red Wings to get both of those is huge. And it's a deep defensive draft, so they can load up on the blue line tomorrow. So I really think the Red Wings have had a very strong start in this year's NHL draft. And so I really do like the Veleno pick for the Red Wings, but I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the season finale of Draft Utopia on TalkShoe. We'll be back for Season 9 in August, folks. TalkShoe is going to have a conference in July in Philadelphia at their podcast convention. And also, we're going to be back in August with the brand new TalkShoe features. Those are going to be coming to Draft Utopia for Season 9 in August, and we're going to network a lot more. We're going to get more guests on the show for Season 9. So, yeah, I talked a lot about getting guests, and we had a lot of momentum at the end of Season 7. We had Bob Torrey on here last season. We had Javon Hagan, and then we built up that momentum, and we were able to get Albert Ruiz on. So I'm probably going to use this window of opportunity to get more guests on, and then we were able to get Bo Adams on. So we had some good guests this season, and I am going to try to network more on Instagram rather than using Twitter. But overall, fantastic show by us and a fantastic season. I remember the first season of Draft Utopia was only 30 episodes. We were able to jam-pack 120 episodes into Season 8 and go from 330 episodes to 450. So this is going to do it for Season 8 of Draft Utopia on TalkShoe. You'll hear the TalkShoe sign. You'll hear us sign out on TalkShoe, and I'm going to sign off on Google Hangouts. Part 2 will be tomorrow on Google Hangouts, though.